Hello, 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 hello. What's up, y'all? You know the song? You know the song. It just takes some time, little girl, it'll all be fine. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright. Hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out and looked down on. Just try your best. Try everything you can. Jimmy Eat World is who that's by. It's called The Middle. I don't know if I sang it word for word, but what I do know is that I'm almost certain I didn't. This is In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 193, titled, I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. Yeah, so today's the 14th of December, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Welcome. What does it mean? That's kind of the question, is what does it mean to be In the Image Clothing Company? For us to be blunt, bold, raw, and real. For Evan Strong to speak so loud when he's like 3 feet from the camera's microphone. What does it mean? This is 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company, and what we do here on In the Image Clothing Company podcast is have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. Don't believe me, but it's also not a claim. We're all human beings. We're the same thing, placed on the same earth, designed by the same God. There's only one truth to life, and the truth never leaves. The only way we can have opinions on something, if that thing was first there, that's the only way it can happen. There's always truth, and then we can have opinions on things if we want. But the thing's still what the thing is. Jesus Christ is the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. God himself. We discuss Jesus Christ as he says that he is. And we're imperfect. He's perfect. We do that imperfectly. All the things we do them to the best of what we can if we're really trying, but we're just not perfect, okay? So here's the point. The point is, I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. What we're going to talk about here in this episode is, what we're going to talk about. Like I say, when we just discuss things as they are, and we just discuss the truth of life, we're discussing the gospel of Jesus Christ. Gospel meaning good news, and then Jesus Christ is our God. Jesus Christ is God is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Don't believe me. Don't believe Evan Strong. Don't believe In the Image Clothing Company or anybody at In the Image Clothing Company's team on any of our information or anything we talk about or do or say. But truth is truth. If it lines up, it lines up. There you go. We're just here relaying information. We do a lot. Okay, so we do have a clothing company here, and on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, yeah, we're much more than just a clothing company, and that's why it's silly. It's interesting. I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is another one of our fourths. But what does all this mean? It's, I realize it. I understand it. I said it today in a video that I filmed after church on the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. The video is titled, The Importance of Uniform Clothing. Meaning, clothing that fits just about the exact same always. Clothing that the body can predict because we're just encapsulated within clothing. Anything that clothes the human being is what we really deal with as clothing under In the Image Clothing Company. We're designed in the image of God. We're all the same. There's a universal human design. There's only one way the human body could ever work, with opposing muscles, with a center line to it, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and the jaw, with Earth's center of gravity, right? With, quote, your center of gravity, unquote, a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. There's only one way the human body could ever work, okay? There is only one way the hands work. There is only one way the feet work. A couple of videos I've filmed back to back down in beautiful St. George, Utah, where we're actually based. I just need to move down there, okay? In the Image Clothing Company And we live up Utah. We do, and boy do we. You know, and today I was down there by Utah Lake here in Utah County, where I'm currently at. That's where I filmed the video. You know, we do just so much under the gift of video, and always will do so much under the gift of video, as in the Image Clothing Company. And a lot of what we do is just documentations. We discuss things that are eternal and things that never change. That's what we call truth. God, the same yesterday, today, and forever, is unchanging. You know, and there are things in life that never will change, like just information on things just as they are. And so that's what we really do. That's a lot of what we do. That's a lot of what we do. That's a lot. We do a lot. And, you know, we're not just a clothing company. We also do things with dogs. You know, that's how it feels. Like, yeah, I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. A lot of what I'm going to say in this episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast here, you know, it's, well, yeah. A lot of things that I've talked about are how things like letting dogs stay natural, which is the same as allowing the body to work, okay? On In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, we let dogs stay natural. On the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, we allow the human body to work. We talk about eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, and everything we do. Just doing these things naturally because we live in an unnatural, modern, man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. And we deal with things nowadays that we never had to just as human beings. Just decades ago, meaning tens of years back from today's date. Never before then were these things even a possibility for people to have to deal with. Unnatural materials in clothing, unnatural things in our food, stretch in clothing when the human body only pulls, okay? The human body only pulls is a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, also filmed in beautiful St. George, Utah, out there in the Red Rocks. It's a desert down there, and it's beautiful, and it's in nature, and it's just natural. It's naturally a naturous place, full of wildlife. Anyway, you know, stretch in clothing, it goes the opposite direction of the only way muscles could ever work. The muscles connect from the outside of the body into the center, like from the shoulder to the sternum in the center and the front, on both sides, evenly opposing the center line. Okay, and from the outside of the shoulder into the center and the spine and the rear, evenly opposing the center line. Feet at our base, grip arches inward, opposing the center line, and keep us vertical. Okay, then those pinky toes are straight forward. We've got different length toes. There is only one way the feet work. We roll evenly off the end of our different length toes, and so the feet roll inward. Okay, pinky toe straight forward, pinky finger straight forward. Neutral wrist, neutral ankle. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's impossible to train it to get it to do anything. You cannot train to a neutral. If you hang your arms down at your sides, they're just, you know, straight down with Earth's gravity. Your fingertips are your shoulder, and there's only one neutral position to the shoulder, right? The natural scapula position, a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. The shoulder's just the collarbone, the scapula, and the humerus, or the clavicle, the shoulder blade, and the upper arm bone, just the same bones worded differently. There's only one way the human body could ever work, so our clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, and be made from 100% natural materials in all the ways that we can, which was the only option until just a few decades ago. That last thing there, 100% natural materials, yeah. Okay. We talk about where clothing sits for everyone, man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be. You're just a human being. Okay. We talk about where clothing sits. I'll talk about it in here where I do. Not quite right yet, but we do a lot. We give free modifications in clothing. We will always have good clothing for human beings, and then dog products, essentially clothing, right? Collars, leashes, harnesses, and whatever else product-wise we ever branch out into, just because we know what we're doing with this stuff that we discuss. And so our products will always be good to the best of what we can do. Okay, that's the point of ever having products, is to make really, really, really good things for people to have if you decide to purchase them. Okay, but free modifications and things, and a lot of free information under the gift of video, so much in nature, living up Utah. So this is the point. The state of Utah is in the United States of America, and it's so beautiful. The nature is so diverse. It really is. It's ridiculous. One thing we do under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is poodle parade events, and we get people into nature and dogs into nature. You can bring your purebred poodles of any size and or poodle mixes of any size. We'll just have a good time. Other dog breeds are not permitted, okay? Because we specialize in poodles, and so, you know, we have a specialty, and so we kind of stick around that with the majority of what we do. But a lot of our information will apply to just about all animals on the earth when it comes to the letting dogs stay natural slogan of In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. And so a lot of what I'm discussing in this episode, like I was starting to say there, and then I started discussing things. Yeah, I did start to discuss things. Yeah, that's the point, is that we do so much. It's kind of like if someone were to ask me, like, what do you do with your life, Evan Strong? I'm like, well, I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. It's kind of like I don't really know how to say it without explaining it pretty deeply, because I call these explanations of, at least lightly brushing over each of the four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. I call them our intros a lot of the time. At least I have, that's it's like, okay, I'll say our intro, and then it's like 10 or 15 minutes of introducing you to what we do under In the Image Clothing Company, because there's a lot to us. And so what I'm saying in this episode is a lot of what it means to really be what we are, And a lot of it is the poodles. As I've said so many times, well, first off, we'll always have just an amazing team. We'll always pick just wonderful people to be under In the Image Clothing Company's team. We need really good, strong, rooted, God-fearing people, truly, okay? Because we do big things. We do things for people, for people's emotional states, getting people rooted and grounded. We do in-person events, we're doing big things. We need people that are willing to preach what we practice here. And it's on that end. That's why I say it like that, We need people that are willing to be practicing the things that we actually do, so we can go out there and preach what we have practiced. With allowing the body to work, for example, and just with serving God in our imperfect ways, okay? With loving dogs, and with loving the environment, and trying to keep the earth as natural as we can when it's just, crazo world out there, and just continually getting worse, as it's been prophesied to. It's the truth of all things. Don't believe me. But the gospel of Jesus Christ lines up. It's happening in modern day. The things that have been prophesied to happen, yeah. So here's the point, okay? Yeah. We do a lot with dogs. But like I've said, our poodles, that's where I was getting to, and then I said our team as well, but the poodles themselves, In the Image Clothing Company's poodles specifically, as we breed purebred standard poodles and do it properly, show how to do it properly, and why it's important to health test dogs, have purebred dogs, registered dogs, and, do everything proper from the beginning before you ever even get a puppy. As we're doing all this, our poodles, under In the Image Clothing Company poodles, are just as much team members as, well, myself, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and anybody who's ever part of In the Image Clothing Company's team. And that's kind of the emphasis with this episode, a lot of it at least, okay? And just, yeah, that's a lot of it. But I'm gonna say a lot of other things as well that are just kind of explaining we're not, starting to do more things over time down the road from, at least right now, than, we've had in the plans. We can say it like that, since the very founding of In the Image Clothing Company. Because the reason why we have poodles is, well, there's a lot of reasons. That's what I'm saying. Showing proper breeding, having beautiful companions, teaching how to be good owners of dogs, keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes through these things, right? And then just giving information applying to not only all dogs across the earth and not only all owners of dogs across the earth, but owners of just about any animal will be able to take some of our information under In the Image Clothing Company poodles and have it apply to their animals, even if it's like a horse or a reptile or a rabbit, right? Meaning just about any animal. A lot of what we show is just how to be a good owner of an animal, how to take accountability as an owner of an animal, and how to keep the animal as healthy and as natural as we can, having them be domesticated or just under the ownership of a human being. And through all this, we also do a lot for the environment, okay? Clean the creek or rid the rubbish type subcategory poodle parade events where we'll actually go around. I've discussed this quite a bit up until today's date, before now. We'll go around and whoever is at a poodle parade event, we'll have just ways of containing trash and going and picking up things. Clean the creek poodle parade events will be at waterways, whether it is an actual creek or river or lake. Okay, a body of water. And then rid the rubbish is probably just going to be anywhere else that's not water specific, so you can know where, just by hearing it, what the event's going to be like. Because, clean the creek specific poodle parade events, we can get the dogs and the human beings into the water as well and just have a good time. It's about just hanging out, getting people into nature and dogs into nature. Some people just about never get to see nature, and it's the only thing that actually exists and remains, which is crazy. But people live in city environments sometimes, and a lot of the time, across the earth, it's just what it is, man. So anyway, some of this has been explained to a degree by me before today's date, but I don't want people ever thinking that we all of a sudden started to change our approach if we're doing things like down in St. George, Utah for the tortoises or for the ravens or with wildland experts or wildlife experts, like I say, we'll work with animal shelters and just good companies and organizations doing good things where we do. I just shout out good companies and organizations doing good things, where I do already as of today's date and before now. Up until today's date, I have many times, a lot of people just doing good things. I go over to the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter here in Utah County. I hang out with the dogs and we just do it as we do. This is what we are as In the Image Clothing Company. And our 5-word company name, In the Image Clothing Company, doesn't really give you very much and really not much at all explanation of what we do. It's like, okay, they work with clothing. I get it. It's in their name, a clothing company. And then it sounds kind of redundant, but it's not because it's our 5-word name first. But you say, In the Image Clothing Company, clothing, right, is what we'll have for sale. So you get it to a degree that, yeah, we're a clothing company. But we do all these other things as well. And this is just me explaining some of the things that we will almost certainly be doing. So hear that correct. For all the things that I say in this episode, talking about things that we don't actually do tangibly in the physical as of yet, today's date, the 14th of December, 2025, I'm going to say it again, how I'm wording a lot of this. These are a lot of the things that we will almost certainly be doing as time progresses, just to give an introduction, some understanding of who we really are and where our approach is and where our focus lies, okay? It's the environment. It's wildlife, nature, animals under human care and ownership. It's breeding and properly. It's accountability as owners of animals. It's allowing the human body to work under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company through anything that clothes the human being. Glasses, jewelry, whatever it is also clothing. But the reason we allow the body to work under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company is so that our bodies are allowed to do what they need to do. We just don't want to be restricted. That's what we say, right? Unaltering things or altering things that are altering the human body through clothing, right? With so many free modifications that we show and give. We just discuss how the body really operates and how to not restrict it from doing that. Because, like I say, In the Image Clothing Company clothing will always be do everything clothing. In the Image Clothing Company dog products will always be do everything dog products. The reason we breed poodles is to have them with us, right? So behind our poodles we breed, purebred standard poodles, which you could potentially end up with one, right? We'll have a strict screening process on who the puppies go to so that they're at that home for life if we can get them to be able to be, right? But we'll just pick proper mother and father dogs in all the ways that we can to breed, do everything dogs. This is what I've said. I've said this for many, many months as of today's date already, okay, before now. So yeah, that's what I'm saying is I'm just giving a lot of context. A lot of what we do is just documentation. And not only these foundational documentations, but even just as time progresses and as time goes on, we're 40, 60 years into In the Image Clothing Company or whatever it is. A lot of it's still just under the gift of video, just documenting what we have done, what we are doing. We're just on the earth for the amount of time that we are. Let's just show what we're doing here and do the best things that we can for our lives, for the health of our planet, for the health of our animals, in all the senses of the animals of the earth, and then spread God's truth through it, founded and rooted with the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ through the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you've got a problem with us, stick around. Deeper context brings deeper understandings, and that's what I'm saying is a lot of what we do is just context, just more and more and more and more documentation. The gift of video. A lot of people don't know what's going on with the planet, health-wise, environmental things wise, and it affects us all. We're all breathing the same oxygen. It's just kind of being recycled. Not even kind of, it is being recycled. We're all drinking the same water that's just being recycled. We all have to have the same balance of the ecosystem, otherwise our ecosystems are unbalanced and sometimes just entirely collapse. This is really what we are and have been as In the Image Clothing Company, but it's great to make things very clear. Okay? And so that's the point, okay? We allow the body to work so that we can operate in life. The body is just a mechanical machine. It just has motion, it has operations. We need to be able to work, meaning physically operate. Walking across the earth, squatting down to get down to our dogs, to feed them, to give them water, to pet them and play with them, and whatever else it is, right? Sleeping so that we can be refreshed for the next day, allowing the body to work. We talk about sleeping naturally. Eating and actually getting proper nutrients and doing it naturally when we've got so many unnatural things, artificial, synthetic things in food, as well as in clothing, as well as just our whole lives in this modern man-made world. It's a right-handed world. 85%, give or take, of people, human beings, are right-handed. And so we just talk about being ambidextrous in all the ways we can, being able to do things evenly on both sides of our bodies, because physically you have to stay centered with your center of gravity and Earth's center of gravity. There's a center line to the human body. Musculature is just pulling into the center line. And if we're just always right-handed, and maybe you're left-handed, but then if you're always left-handed, right? I mean, we have to be able to use both sides of our bodies as equally as we can in our own situations. We recognize it, amputations, deformities, major surgeries, birth defects, anything like this that has altered your body quite a bit, or a lot, or just a little bit, and maybe it sets you apart. Any one of those three options as well, right? It just is what it is. We're just human beings. We're all different in the ways that we are, but we're all universally designed. We're all God's children. So here we are, living up Utah, being in the Image Clothing Company, having four sides to us. In the Image Clothing Company music is another fourth. Sizing and setup of guitar is a lot of what we show, to not alter things like the neutral wrist. And in daily life and in all aspects, even if you're not a musician by any means, because some people just don't really make any music, but our hands and our feet, we need fingernails and toenails fully to the tips of the fingers and toes, backing and supporting them, and then cut relatively flat on the tips so that we can stay in and don't roll out of the neutral wrist position and that neutral gripped arch position. Okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. On In the Image Clothing Company music, we do a lot of rhythm and poetry, lyricism, spoken word, singing, guitar playing, whatever it is with music like this, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ with the messages. We just do a lot. We do things that really help people across the earth, man. Sizing and setup of guitar is a huge thing for any guitarist out there. You should never have to massage or stretch out your hands after you play guitar. But you have to first allow your body to work, and then you have to allow the guitar to work for your body, right? I mean, there's depth to this. Like I say, it's not a walk in the park. Not a walk in the park is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. When it comes to what we really do, under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, getting out of chronic patterning and scar tissue that gets built up in the body through oversized clothing, imbalances in clothing, ropes introduced to the body, shoelaces, drawstrings, apron knots, ribbons around dresses, something around the hood of a top, whatever it is. You tie something around your waist in any sense or any part of your body. If you put one side of a rope over the other, you're twisting your whole body. So with dogs, this is a big focus as well, just what ropes can do and leashes can do. This is what I mean, there's a lot to it. There's a lot. Oh, shoot. Evan Strong, what do you do? I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. And at least that's the title of episode 193 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Oh, I also have a podcast. It's not really mine. I'm just the founder. But I'm in this for life. It's also an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I'm in this for life. I'm the leader of this. I'm not just the founder and then I'm off to something else. I'm founding it and then I found myself in it forever, right? It is what it is. It is what it is. And this is what it is. This is a lot of what we are as In the Image Clothing Company. So, just to be clear, I'm saying some things to make things clear. That's the point. But we hold leashes naturally. We hold the leashes or the leads, the slip leads, the harness and leash, the collar and leash, the, Spider-Man web slinger, whatever you're doing, right? Shout out to Marvel Comics, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Anyway, but you're restraining your dog somehow, and you've got to hold your leash or whatever you're holding to attach you to the dog from the other end of what you're holding naturally, okay? And so that you don't alter your body. And we just discussed this, and that's what I mean when it's correlated. That's what I say. All four sides of In the Image Clothing Company are so intentionally under our 5-word name. It's not just like we kind of threw 4 different things together here. They're all the same. You have to allow your body to work, to play music properly, to sing properly. How clothing affects speaking. I sang a little bit here at the beginning of this. I've never had a singing lesson. But I can speak well, and I can sing pretty well for never having a singing lesson. I'm also just so naturally musical. That's a big point for me personally. But yeah, how clothing affects speaking, right? We put so much focus on the jaw. We talk about eating and drinking with the left hand or non-dominant. That's a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, eating and drinking with the left hand. But we just have to keep the jaw centered, right? The importance of even jaw musculature, another video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. The jaw stabilizes the entire body, and speaking is just a physical thing. The jaw does speaking, eating, breathing, stabilization for the entire body, and whatever else it does that we could label it having a function of. It's a lot, okay? So, same thing for the dogs. We talk about feeding the dogs at a natural height. We talk about keeping the dogs hydrated, as we do for human beings, and not just drinking plain, processed, purified water. And what you're purifying is all the nutrients out of it. You actually get dehydrated just drinking plain water when everything's stripped from it. Okay, so we really talk about so much. And I've said some of these things before, for sure. But if we're doing things down the road that don't seem anything at all like what you would think a clothing company would do, well, that's no surprise. Out of me, I guess, is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is don't be surprised. That's what I'm saying. That's the way to word it. Because, yeah, things for the environment, things for all sorts of animals, and things to involve people and in-person events, things that just about have almost nothing to do with clothing other than it's always physically placed on us. That's what it means to allow the body to work. Allow your body to just do whatever you're going to do in your life without being restricted. And you see it. I'm not perfect. By any means, never could or would possibly be able to be in this life. That's the point, is we have to rely on God, who is perfect, because we are not. But I really do preach what I have practiced. I say it very intentionally on the back end. It's the paradoxical gospel of Jesus Christ. It's backward. And I do all I can to just speak on things that I have an understanding of already, okay? What I'm saying is, in almost every case, the clothing you see me, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, wearing, because you will, even if you never come to any kind of in-person event under In The Image Clothing Company, which they almost always be in the state of Utah, because the state of Utah is a lot of what we are as In The Image Clothing Company, with church history and just nature, the environment, the beautiful desert down there in St. George, Utah. Doing things for the environment is a big thing. Getting people and dogs into nature is a big thing. It's a big thing, but it's a big part of what In The Image Clothing Company is even here for. Now, this is the big point with watching me personally under the gift of video through In The Image Clothing Company content. I really do all that I can to allow my body to work. I'm the one who has founded this whole company. I'm the one where all of this information, at least up until today's date, has come from. No other human being up until today's date, a little over 14 and a half months into In The Image Clothing Company's founding. Today is the 14th of December, 2025. It's been no one but me giving this information or coming up with this information, branded and given under In The Image Clothing Company's 5-word name. That's what I'm saying, is you can watch what I wear and get a pretty good idea of what it means to have clothing fit you correct to allow your body to work. It's about the angles and the positions and the locations of things, because the body just has functioning, and the seams of clothing have to be at the functioning seams of the body, right? We could say the body has seams and the clothing has joints, or the clothing has seams and the body has joints. It is what it is. They just have to mesh as close as we can get to allow the body to work, okay? This is a good time to say, for those of you in audio only, In The Image Clothing Company podcast is available in visual plus audio as well. Okay, it's one of the things of the gift of video that we do in The Image Clothing Company podcast, because often I'm doing a lot of hand motions and I'm showing things, even if I'm not discussing what I'm showing really. I'll be talking about something and I'll be like showing positions of my body, for example, right, as I'm just speaking without really addressing it with my words. And it can give some context on the mechanics and the functionality of the body. This is what I'm saying, right? There's so much that we do here, and it's permanent. It's eternal. It's truly forever. That's why, one of the big reasons why it's such a gift, the gift of video, okay? And so a lot of what the gift of video can do for us is give people awareness of what's going on the planet. Because we'll be out there doing all the things that we're doing in nature. We'll be at our building down there in St. George, Utah. It's not a building you will come to purchase products from. And if you're not part of In The Image Clothing Company's team, you probably would never come to our building. But the reason why the building is important to those who are not part of In The Image Clothing Company's team is because we'll do so much through the gift of video at our building with the breeding of poodles and with the information of the poodles. And that's where we'll ship our products out from and, have our team be at. And it'll just be in St. George, Utah, where we're based. And so it's our central location, It'll be awesome. And what I'm saying is, we're going to do so much to document just life, the earth, the environment, the things we do with other organizations that know more about certain things than we do. We're working with wildlife specialists or, conservationists, biologists, veterinarians, animal shelters. These are the kind of things and kind of people we're going to be working with as In The Image Clothing Company. This is the focus. This is the goal. This is the point. This is where our heart is as a company. This is coming from the founder's mouth right now, me, Evan Strong, so I can just kind of decide, right? Do you see what I mean? That's what I'm saying, is I'm just giving context. And that's what I'm saying too when I say In the Image Clothing Company's team will always be such amazing people, because these are the kind of things we do. And you need some really strong people to be able to do these kind of things. But really just people, well, yeah, strong people for sure, but yeah, that's a point, because these are some big things, you know. We'll be out there a lot of the time walking. I mean, a lot of it's just at Poodle Parade events, it's just hikes or walks, just hanging out, having a good time with people outside in the heat of the desert, you know, hot, dry St. George, Utah, especially in the summers. It's like 100 degrees Fahrenheit and around there commonly. So yeah, when I say strong people, I just I mean it in the ways of being able to really, you know, deal with what we're doing. I mean, well, to deal with the animals too, these dogs are big. Standard poodles, that's the size. That's what standard means. It's the standard sizing of poodles. The original, if you will, sized poodles. They're big. It's like a German Shepherd size, give or take. Yeah. That's a good dog to think about. Yeah, just about the same size as a German Shepherd and weight, 65, 70 pound, give or take dogs. Big dogs. You know, that's what we deal with and breed under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. And a big reason as to why is for the health of the human beings. You know, as I've mentioned, that's a big thing is the sizing of dog versus the size or the height of the owner. I mean, just you're holding a rope and there's a dog on the other end of it. When you just have a leash or a lead of some kind and you're restraining your dog, if your dog's just like only a foot off the ground, you know, just like only halfway up your lower leg, and you're being pulled on by the dog, the dog's pulling you down into the ground. If you have a dog where it's neck height, or you know it's chest height where the harness is, or the collar or the slip lead or whatever it is close to the height of where your arm just hangs down at your side, where you'd be just holding the lead or leash, then your dog's pulling you like forward and back on Earth's gravity rather than pulling you down when Earth's gravity is already pulling you down naturally, which isn't a bad thing, but we don't want to amplify that any more than we need to, okay? But you just don't know what you don't know. You can't be held accountable for what you don't know. We give a lot of free information under In the Image Clothing Company and all four sides. So this is what I'm saying, you know, is a lot of it really is stuff like this, you know. Well, when I say we need strong team members, I mean strong in all the ways. Physically, sure, but you can have some really like slender, short, small women who are stronger than really big, bulky, muscular men. You're seriously, physically stronger. I mean, it's about mechanics. I mean, we're in the Image Clothing Company. We know how the body works, you know. So what I'm saying is we're not being like, we're not trying to segregate people. We're not trying to like not be inclusive because it's on the other end. That's the point, is we're very inclusive here. You know, we're all sons and daughters of God, black, white, bond and free, and male and female, and from any part of the earth. And well, that's what I say, where clothing sits for everyone. I don't know if I think I said it in this, right? Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. If I didn't say it in this, there you go, now I have. Maybe I've said it twice in here. What I say those things for specifically is that's, you know, me doing all that I can to encapsulate every human being to ever be. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's me trying to cover everyone, and that is everyone. That would be everyone. That would be everyone. That's why I chose to start saying those things back when I said them. Yeah, that's what that means anyway, is everyone is the same. Okay, we're all different, but we're all the same. I mean, it just is what it is. It's the paradoxical gospel of Jesus Christ. It's the opposition that is in all things. It's just what it is. It's just life. And we're just in the Image Clothing Company, but we're not just a clothing company. But I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. But the thing is, you know, our poodles, they can help us with things like this, like conservation things. If we're working with conservationists, you know, maybe we're out doing helicopter experiences. Well, mostly as in the Image Clothing Company's team. I'm not necessarily saying we'll bring people on those kind of adventures, but we will bring you along under the gift of video. And that's why it's important to say, because you are involved under the gift of video. I mean, I have felt just about as involved as if I was actually personally with people throughout my life, just watching videos that other people have made. And I love it. I mean, so much of my life I've just been alone at home, at the house that I live at the time, and watching other people's documentations, and I love it. So that's why we do it, because I know on the receiving end how awesome it is to have documentations and videos of people who are doing things that you enjoy, or just the people maybe you enjoy, and you do feel like you're a part of it, even if you're not actually physically there. If you never come to any In the Image Clothing Company's personal in-person events, you can be basically just as involved through our videos. This is just how it is, really. I mean, I love videos so much. And I've got so much experience making so many videos throughout my life, and then just under In the Image Clothing Company content alone, we've got somewhere around 1,000 videos as of today's date, all 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company combined, I mean, that's why, right? That's what we're doing here. So that's a big part of it. That's a big point. I mean, that's one of the biggest things, is just the videos that we film. As a company, as a community of people, that's what we are. Very, very intentionally worded, a company, not a business. Do you see what I mean? There's a lot of intentionality behind this before we've ever really done it. Hear that correct? That's cool, huh? I mean, that's what I mean. I've laid a foundation. Laying a foundation is episode 100 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. In the 180s, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled "Set Up for Success," and meaning we are. And at that point back, we were up until then already. And I am in this for life, which is another episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, right? I'm in this for life. So yeah, that's the point, right? Is I'm just explaining kind of like what I said. If someone were to ask me, like, what do you do, Evan? I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. And there's just so much more to it than that. But I almost don't know how to even put it into words if people were to ask, because we do so much. But that's why it all just comes to our 5-word name, because then you can find all that we do by just looking up In the Image Clothing Company. Our 5-word name is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Again, I'm laying this out, bro, because this is going to last. This couldn't even possibly be just some startup company. We give truth, eternal, unchanging information, so much for free, and it's just been founded so well. And I'm not bragging, because I didn't even know what I was doing. I'm praying to God. It's also In the Image Clothing Company. Those first 3 words in our 5-word name, which is really just one word. There's no spaces in all the 5 words together. In the Image Clothing Company, it's one word in a sense, right? But yeah, it is. But this is the point, is we're doing this under God's name. It's eternal. And so anyway, yeah, just giving some context, bro. And that's kind of always what it is, just context. Just another documentation, like 45 years down the road from now, we're still doing just another documentation. Yeah, that's how it is. The more we do, the more credible we are. In this case, it's not always the case that more is better. I mean, we're very simplistic and minimal, and yeah, those 2 things especially, as In the Image Clothing Company. But when it comes to video, oh no, the more the better. Deeper context brings deeper understandings of who we are, right? That's what I say. Deeper context brings deeper understandings. It just does. And the more we do under video specifically, the better. There you go. And that's how it is. That's how it will always be. I mean, we could have just the craziest amount of videos. It could be, just so shocking to anyone, even me, expecting to have just an immense amount of video just be documented and filmed as In the Image Clothing Company, just for the life of always. There you go. That's what I'm saying. Okay, that's awesome. But yeah, I want to make it clear that we might be doing things like that. Like, we might be out there. When I said helicopters, I just mean because out there in the desert, maybe we need to go to a certain location, and it's just cool. We get the poodles on a helicopter ride. Our personal poodles, right? Under In the Image Clothing Company poodles, but you'd be able to watch this under what we filmed through the gift of video. And we just go out somewhere down there in the desert by St. George or wherever we are, but we're based down there. We'll most commonly be around southern Utah with what we do. And maybe we're doing like conservation type stuff with whatever animals it would be. I was down there it was probably about a month ago at this point, actually. Yeah, it was right around a month ago now. I was down there in St. George, Utah, for 2.5 weeks, and it was great. I filmed videos, right? I referenced a couple in here that I filmed down there while I was there. And there was a sign out there. I was just out there walking, hiking through the Red Rock, where I was going to go over and make a video. Actually, the location I filmed a few different videos while I was down there. And there was this sign on this little fence, and it said something about look out for raven nests. Just the balance in our ecosystem gets imbalanced when we get involved as human beings, because we make things in ways animals don't. Beavers, they'll build a dam and it's like their house. Bear will build a den and dig in the ground and it's their house. Or wild dogs, snakes, they'll make burrows in the ground, and rodents will, birds will build nests. But human beings, we build things that are unnatural, and it changes things. We change the way that water's routed through rivers, and well, yeah, meaning we change the rivers through dams and through man-made reservoirs and a lot of these kind of things. And then we have pollutants that animals would never be able to have at all, right? We've got unnatural things, oils and chemicals and things that we've conjured up, if you will. I like to word it like that because it sounds bad, and it is, without having like a negative view on it. When I say it's bad, I mean it's bad for the environment. That's not necessarily a bad thing because it just happens. It's just life. It's about the intentionality, and it's about what we can do on the end of advocating. That's how I word it often, and have at least up until today's date. Under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, I'll say, right, we advocate for being a good owner of dogs, breeding properly. We advocate for purebred dogs, for the health of dogs. And I just discussed these things. When I say a mutt is a mutt, yeah, a mutt's a mutt. It's a mixed breed. It's not pure. But then I also say bring your mixed poodles to poodle parade events, right? It's just, you got to see what we're doing, why we're doing it, where the intention is, and that a lot of people just don't know things. We don't know what we don't know is what I mean. And things are just happening regardless of if you know they are. And, things affect you even if you don't care to care, as I say often. It just is what it is. It's just life. There's only truth to life. Oh my gosh, it's just so humbling to say stuff like that because these are not our opinions. It's not our opinion to want to care about the health of the planet. You live on it, right? We didn't design it. We can't decide it. As an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, the majority of what I discussed in that episode was the planet, actually, for the health of it, for being intentional because I live here too, right? As I said something like that in it. Like, you don't get to decide that you just don't have to care about the planet because you're not alone on it. And what you do affects everybody else here as well. There's a balance to things. Anyway, I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. But the cool thing is the poodles, they'll be with us, and we can help people through poodles, emotional support dogs, physical support dogs, therapy dogs. I don't know exactly how that's all going to be structured because certainly we can have our poodles that we breed through In the Image Clothing Company Poodles breeding program with our purebred standard poodles. Some of those poodles, or maybe a lot of them, and maybe who knows, right, on how many, maybe all of them. That's what I'm saying. I don't know for sure as of yet because it hasn't happened yet. I'm giving context on some things that almost certainly will happen, DC, under In the Image Clothing Company. As of today's date, the 14th of December, 2025, just so you know that I've been planning things before they've happened to the degree that I have been planning things before they happened. There you go. But we can have a lot of our dogs, or as many as we do, be registered as service dogs, trained as service dogs, and then we can help people through that. That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, there's so many reasons for the poodles. They bleed over into all four sides. The other three, in addition to In the Image Clothing Company poodles, okay? There's four sides to In the Image Clothing Company. It's just, it is what it is. We do so much. And I say it like that as if we're already doing it because, yeah, I'm already doing it. I'm already advertising right now. Advertising is part of the thing. You can do whatever you want, but only if people show up. If it's something you're trying to get people to come to. You only be able to do it with people if the people come to it, and really the only people that could come are the people that know to come through advertisement or awareness in some sense, right? If you build it, they will come, as an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I am a company owner. I founded this thing. I am running this thing. This is a real thing. It's just, it couldn't even be a question. It's just, I say that because I'm just referencing so many things and everything is just structured so well. I do what's called spider webbing, where that's why we title things so intentionally, is because then we reference things we have done and other things we are doing, and all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company are just intertwined. Check this out. If you know In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, one of our two prerequisites, in addition to where clothing sits, and just really the only way the top of the feet are shaped, which are half of the function of the feet, lifting the toes, dorsiflexion is the top of the shoe, and then pointing the feet, or plantar flexion, is the sole of the shoe. We talk about the importance of zero drop shoes for the soles, just keeping them flat on the earth's surface. But then the top of the shoe is In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. I was just doing this with my hands, interlocking my fingers as I do when I show weaving ropes across the top of the feet is all we're doing when we have shoe laces. And there's only one way the feet are shaped. That's also actually another video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. That's its title. There's only one way the feet are shaped. And it is In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. Just what we title it. We don't own it. We don't own this information. We don't own God's earth. We don't own the resources that God does. We get to use them. This is what I mean. In the Image Clothing Company, we do a lot of just discussing stuff like that. I mean, just the truth of life, in general. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I run a clothing company and do things with dogs because the dogs, they can help us, man. On adventures like that, with environmental stuff, we'll just have the dogs with us as well. Even if it's just In the Image Clothing Company's team going out and doing certain things, and it's not an event for people like, you, right? What I mean is, I didn't know how to say that in a way that didn't sound like I was trying to separate people. I just mean people that are not part of In the Image Clothing Company's team. We'll do a lot just as In the Image Clothing Company, just our team alone, and share it through the gift of video. That's what I'm saying. And that's a lot of what I'm saying in this episode. That's a lot of what this is for, is to give information on that. I talk about how we do in-person events, and we do and will where we do, and they'll be great. But so much of what we do is just our company, our amazing team. That's why I put the focus on we need really strong people to be our team members. And that's why we chose specifically purebred standard poodles as the breed of dog to do what we do as In the Image Clothing Company, because they're intertwined with all we do on all four sides. This is what I mean, is we can do a lot of things with, oh my heavens, I am so excited for the poodles, okay? It'll be so great. It'll be awesome. Nita, she'll be the first. Nita, she'll be the matriarch as long as she can have puppies, right? She'll be the matriarch of the breeding program. If not, another dog will be, and she'll still be my dog, and she'll be awesome. And one day she will die. Okay, I love to hit that point because we can't get so caught up on just one dog or one thing we do or one person in our life. It's just life. It goes on. Unless you choose to not let it, okay? That's why we let dogs stay natural and allow the body to work, is because it's God's design. God's design of the human being, God's design of the dogs, God's design of this earthly life, and we just allow it to be what it is. Do everything dog products, do everything clothing, do everything dogs. We just want to do everything that we need to do, not just go do things because why not? but be very intentional through life, okay? So a lot of the information we give is just how to be intentional in life. If you don't live an intentional life, you don't even know what's going to happen sometimes, and all of a sudden you're doing things that you maybe thought you never would do. You compromise your values, you lose who you are, you forget who you truly are as a son or daughter of God if you're not living an intentional life to try to be intentionally focused in the right places, put the importance on the things that are actually important in life, but you have to know what those are first. And there's just some universal truth to life, and his name is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is God. Don't believe me on these things or on anything. Truly, I mean that statement in all legitimacy. Please don't believe me. Or in the Image Clothing Company, or in the Image Clothing Company's team. I said it in this, but I just want to hit that point, and I hit it often. I have, up until today's date, at least. Here's the point. A lot of these things are. Okay, we've got a lot of points we make, and not for us to prove some point, but just because there's a lot that we are all affected by. And so in the Image Clothing Company's team, right, we can go out and do some cool, beautiful things with other organizations and, in areas where, that's what I mean by we take a helicopter ride somewhere. It's just places that you kind of wouldn't really get to otherwise unless you had a guide, right? Like I'm saying, conservationists and wildlife people, because there's a lot that's happening, like I was saying, with the ravens and just the overpopulation of a certain species, and then it's taking over, and then there's an underpopulation of another species because predator and prey, and it just is what it is. This is what I really mean. This is who we are as in the Image Clothing Company, and I'm just so grateful. This is me praying. You can hear the passion behind what I'm saying right here, how it's I'm realizing, Father, praying to God right now through this, thank you so much that I'm documenting this as of today's date. Just because this is the plan. This is a lot of the expectation of what's to come, and this is really what we do as a clothing company. Do you see what I mean? How in the Image Clothing Company, we're only a clothing company for the sake of allowing the body to work of the human being, and then the body of the dogs and the animals as well, right? Because this is the point. I say it like this, and I hit this point pretty clearly. It's we're not really a clothing company. We're only a clothing company to allow the body to work and to let the dogs stay natural. So we're kind of not a clothing company, but we're certainly a clothing company. It's I say it on both ends like that because then you can kind of see where we really sit with this and why we're really a clothing company at all, okay? And again, like I say, I've said it many times before today's date. You can watch me, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, under the gift of video, just when you see our videos that I am in. You can see my body's physical and visual transformation, getting out of the chronic patterning and scar tissue that I was so deeply in, deeper than most people, in all truth. Because of a lot of things. I've had 2 full open heart surgeries. I had, quote, the root canal story, unquote. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast about that. I had a terribly done root canal, and my jaw was so off balanced for so many years. I wore oversized clothing for so many years. I had so many things in my pockets, which we should never have anything in our pockets, but for so many years. I had heels on boots and shoelaces tied incorrect and laced incorrect, drawstrings tied one side over the other. I used technological devices in only one hand for so many years. I just did so many things, ate and drank with only my right hand until very recently, as of me saying this right now. Past year plus, give or take. A couple years maybe, but probably not even that long. Give or take, right? It's just crazy, man. This is what I mean is it's just truth that we discuss here. It's universal. Everybody has one, or everybody has a body. Okay? It's just what it is. It's so humbling is what it is. So, the gospel of Jesus Christ, you'll never do it any other way. There is truth to life, and his name is Jesus Christ. And so don't believe me. Don't think I'm just some religious person preaching some religion that I want to get you on board with. I say it so clear, I'm not religious. I don't believe in anything, and I say these things out of authenticity, not to just make some point, but to hit the point of the truth of it. I'm not. Even if you didn't believe in anything, everything's still there that's just there. And so that thing has to be true if you can just choose not to believe it, but it doesn't change the thing. It's life. There's no opinions to what life truly is. You can have perceptions on it, but the it still remains for you to have a perception on. That's for everyone. Nobody's better or worse than anybody else. We're better at things than other people. Certainly. It's just what it is, bro. It's just life. And what In the Image Clothing Company is man, authentic, right? Blunt, bold, raw, and real. So I just want to make it really clear, very clear. I want to make it as clear as I can because I was driving out there by the lake today after I filmed that video on the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, the importance of uniform clothing. And I was just seeing all the trash on the side of the road, okay? On Lake Road is what they call it, which I was driving like, oh, that's fitting. It's the road that's right next to the lake. That's great. That's awesome. But there's just trash all along the side, bottles and cans and all sorts of things. People are out there shooting, ammunition, cartridges, if you will, shells of, whatever it is, casings, whatever you want to say. All over the ground, there's just trash, broken glass, and plastic bags. Things that we did not have just decades ago from today's date. Plastic is new. It's been about, however many years, it's been less than 100 years. People didn't even have plastic. There's no such thing. It did not exist. And definitely not how it exists nowadays. I mean, maybe some form of plastic existed, but it wasn't used for the things that it's used nowadays. And now it's used for just about anything because it's extremely universal and versatile. And that's convenient as all get out. I mean, that's so convenient. You can make a bottle out of plastic. You can make clothing out of plastic. That's truly what polyester is. It's just oil. It is plastic. Polyurethane, polyester, polypropylene. Polys and blends of poly material. It's plastic material, and other materials as well that are just unnatural. That it's I mean, it didn't exist. It not even, like the generation before us, depending on how old you are as of like today's date. My grandparents, when they were kids, they didn't even have plastic. Not the way we do nowadays. It wasn't even real because it's artificial. It's synthetic. These are just synonyms with fake. So this is what I'm saying, right? I run a clothing company and do things with dogs, and the things we do with dogs, well, that's a lot. And the reason I run a clothing company is, well, there's a lot of reasons to that. That's what I'm saying is, I mean, hang out, stick around. It applies to you, even if you don't care to care. So, anyway, those dogs, man, it's just going to be so cool. I mean, sometimes we'll probably be rehoming animals, and, I say we specialize in purebred standard poodles. Hear the correct phrasing of why that's correct, if you, if you see what I mean. We specialize in one specific dog breed, and purebred is the kind of standard poodles. What I'm saying is, like I said earlier, our information could apply to any and all animals across the earth. Most all of our information under letting dogs stay natural under In the Image Clothing Company poodles does and will apply to all animals. But, I mean, we might have cats, personally, as In the Image Clothing Company's team, and just me and my family, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. And, we might have other dogs under our possession in times, probably with, rehoming dogs, strays and mistreated dogs, things like this. This is what I mean. We're going to really just do a lot with a lot of good people, fostering type of approach is what we deal with. Because like I say, we will have what people call guardian homes for our poodles. I mean, if we have I don't know, more poodles under In the Image Clothing Company's poodle. Yeah, man. Okay, this it's just so real. I'm just so humbled by being able to document this stuff so that if anyone's ever got a question, it's like, no, this is how we've been, structuring it since the very beginning. Okay, who are we really as In the Image Clothing Company? Well, that's why we've got, podcast episodes that are 3 hours long, back to back to back to back. I film one almost every single day at this time period. It's been that way for months, you know. It's just so that we have context of who we are, so there's not a question. Well, there can be a question, and we can reference you to where the answer is. Here, documented already before the questions come up. That's the point. The gift of video, you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, because I just said it, and that's how, is because it's documented. That's the point. Do you see what I mean? I just am so grateful. It's like that's me hitting my legs right there, and that's me like expressing so much right there. Is like, how do I express my gratitude, Father? All that we have is the word hallelujah to give God. Brandon Lake, right? Hallelujah, his song. That's what he says. And all that I have is a hallelujah. Hallelujah. I don't even know what else to say, but thank you, I mean, that's how it is to God when he gives us stuff like this. And so that's what I'm saying with this, right? Is, man, good old Red the guitar. We do a lot with music, bro. That's the point too, I don't know how much we're going to end up doing with music in addition to us just making music. We can work with musicians and guitar companies, maybe. Maybe we get a signature guitar made because we know how to size and set up guitars from a certain brand. Maybe we, have certain brands make us a signature shoe. I'm just saying, this is what I mean, is I've got big expectations without having unrealistic expectations because I know what we're really doing here and it's properly done. Because it's under God. I mean, that's real, dude. This is what I'm saying. And it lines up. That's what I mean, is don't believe me. Don't think that I've just got more confidence than I know what to do with and I'm just kind of like throwing out random claims. It lines up. The things we say, I'm very, very intentional with this. As best as I can. I'm imperfect. I'm sinful by nature, as we all are. But I've also spent the last, give or take, 14 and a half months since the very founding date, the 23rd of September 2024, setting this up so that it couldn't not be successful forever. I mean, that's just how it is, okay? No dispute, it's the truth. It's just amazing. It's because it's nothing to do with me. That's how it's going to work. That's the point. That's how it works. That's how life works. We humble ourselves, we put ourselves aside, we glorify God, and we flourish. That's how it works, for the sake of giving glory to God. That's how it works when we do things for the environment, for the sake of giving glory to God, taking care of his earth. That's how it works, letting dogs stay natural, talking about breeding dogs properly for the health of them. That's giving glory to God. That's what it means to allow the body to work, giving information that applies universally and forever to all humans to ever live. That's giving glory to God. And it's just the truth. So, I don't know, I'm going to grab Red the guitar here. I don't know how much I'll play or what I'll play or if. I don't know if he's in tune. I don't really like to tune guitars. Yeah, he's not exactly in tune. But anyway, we're gonna go back up to the 7th fret. Man, I've written a lot of songs, or I've freestyled a lot of songs that have turned into songs through guitar. And it's like, as of right now, I almost can't remember that many of them, Um, but man, I mean, yeah, maybe one day, we'll do things with guitar brands, or musicians in some way. Maybe we'll do collaborations with other musicians. There's a lot of beautiful people doing beautiful things with music. John Mayer, Jacob Collier are some people who do pretty darn unique music just for the sake of it being authentic to them. And this is what I'm saying is we've got a lot to come with this, and I just have all of these expectations, yes, without having unrealistic ones, but as of today's date or even before now, just for the context of I knew to a degree of where all this was going before it did. And here's your documentation, at least as of the 14th of December 2025, right? Before anything that happens after today's date. Um, this is what I mean. Well, that's why I reference people like I do. And you hear that too. The people that I shout out, if you will, or that I reference, that I talk about under In the Image Clothing Company content. Let me read the guitar down. The people that I reference and that I talk about and that I, give credit to are people that just are authentic, that are real, people that are just who they are, because that's the point. The goal being natural, neutral, and normal being synonyms within the human body's functioning or the functioning of the dog, whatever dog or animal at all, right? That's what I mean. Authentic, right? Authentic, natural, normal, neutral, centered, Earth's gravity, life, truth. It is what it is. And this is a lot of what we are as In the Image Clothing Company. And so, yeah, I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. But if you want me to really try to explain to you all of what that means, look up our 5-word company name, In the Image Clothing Company, and you'll find all that we do because it all comes down to that one word. It's 5 words that has no spaces between them. For the sake of it just being able to be found. For us being able to have the impact that we should have through this, for the sake of why we're doing it, and it's important. Even if you don't care to care. Or even if you got an opinion on what you think we do here, you're wrong. If you're wrong. We're only doing here what we're doing here, as in the Image Clothing Company, or just as human beings in life in general, and people try to think that they know who we are or what we're doing, and they're just not correct. There's only truth to life, ever, period, always, that's it. Holy cow. So anyway, yeah, letting dogs stay natural, keeping collars centered for human beings and dogs, okay? Those of you in visual plus audio, I mean, it just is what it is, right? The jaw is the shoulder directly, and it goes through the collar of our top. In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, in the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, and just plenty of free modifications. So those are some of the most common ones that I say. It is what it is, man. It's big. So, yeah, what do I do, if you're asking me, Evan Strong. But really, it's not only about that. That's a big part of it, sure, but it's also just who are we as In the Image Clothing Company, and what will a lot of things look like at least, a lot of things that we can expect us to do. And yeah, right. As time progresses, well, these are a lot of them. Even things like just natural water, I mean, working with, I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Just hypothetically, our approach and what we're really here to do, these are a lot of things that we might really be doing big time. That's I just want to make it clear on why I'm saying this and how I'm wording it to just give context because yeah, national parks, state parks, um just giving awareness about things like the wildlife and how to deal with wildlife. You come up on a bear, there's black bear down there in St. George, Utah area, just throughout the state of Utah. Just, how to deal with a bear if you approach one, or a cougar, mountain lion, it's the same thing. Yeah, man. This is what I mean, right? We're really here to do some big things. Yeah. Um talking about just how your dog is with you at home, how to let your dog sleep naturally, take its collar off. Would you want to sleep with a dog collar around your neck? Probably not. Probably not. So don't make your dog sleep with their collar on unless you have just about no other choice in a certain situation, right? Times and places, I get it, but you know, fencing in yards and how to approach owners of dogs with their dog if you don't have one, or if you do have a dog and you're approaching somebody else with a dog, teaching your kids how to be around dogs and not to fear dogs, but also how to respectfully approach a dog so we're not disobeying. That's silly to say. That's how it came out. What I mean is, we teach dogs basic obedience, and some dogs get really, really deep training, but just even simple basic obedience training, we're opposing that by just coming up to a dog and, oh, you're so cute, and petting it without asking the owner if we can. The dog goes to obedience training to not go up to people, but then if people come up to the dog, it's like, well, we're just trying to get this animal to do what we're trying to get it to do, and now human beings are opposing that. We a lot of advocacy for what it really means to be a good human being in general, but owners of dogs as well, and just animals in general. It just is what it is, bro. As in the Image Clothing Company is just what it is. So before you got a question on it, well, you can have a question, but before you, yeah, just, that's fine. Here's your answer. That's what I'm saying. It's a really good answer. It's a sum of the answer that you would need if you were asking what we really do as in the Image Clothing Company. Yeah, man. Good stuff. Okay. Yeah, I mean, even just, when it's okay to have dogs off leash and how to have a dog in a yard safely, dogs around other animals, dogs interacting with other dogs, introducing dogs to other dogs that they haven't met yet. Okay, I mean, yeah, there's a lot to this. There's a lot to this. Even how to interact with your dog to make them feel comfortable. Sometimes you're petting a dog and you think that the dog likes it, but you're just so aggressive with the dog that it's like, no, stop touching me. We got to understand these are just animals that we've domesticated and taken ownership over. Any animal that's the case with. All animals were just wild until human beings got involved. That's what I'm saying. A lot of what we do is just discuss how we damage things as human beings and how to limit the damage that we do. That's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah, that's a big, big, big point. That's huge. You wouldn't have to let dogs stay natural if human beings never got involved. They would just be natural. You wouldn't even have to focus on allowing the body of the human being to work if the human being never designed clothing to wear. But it's a commandment to stay modest and to wear clothing, and it's just healthy and essential to human life. Otherwise, sometimes there's no human life. You can die, freeze to death or die from sunburns. There's a lot of reasons we wear clothing. The feet, just protecting them. So anyway, even information like that, with the poodles, being down there in St. George, Utah, it's hot desert. So keeping the dogs safe in the heat, just animals in general, and especially dogs, with letting dogs stay natural under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. Just what a lot of what we'll do is just give information on, oh man, yeah. I mean, how to connect leashes to collars or harnesses properly so there's not play where the leash connects to the collar or the leash connects to the harness. That's why slip leads are so good. A lot of reasons why. Slip leads, it's just like a lasso. It's just basically a rope with a slip knot, and you put the slip knot around the neck of the dog so you can strangle it. Now, I get it, right? That's why I say it like that, is because it sounds very dangerous, and it could be, but anything could be very dangerous, but we just show how to do it properly. But if we have play from where the leash is connecting to the collar, then there's not like this direct pull of where we're trying to get our dog to go, and just that like little bit of play between the leash and the collar doesn't allow the dog to really understand where you're trying to lead it to if it's on the other end of a lead, which is what we call a leash, right? Or a slip lead or something similar. Just a rope. I mean, sometimes just a rope is just as good as a collar or a leash, or even a slip lead. This one here that I'm showing, for those of you in audio only, I just showed a leash. That's actually just a proper leash. Oh, but this is good to show. This is what I mean, is this little metal clip here on the end of the lead, well, leash in this case. A lead, that's the point, is anything you lead your dog around with, a rope, okay? But here, those of you in audio only, you can probably hear the sound of the metal little clip, okay? If you have this around your dog, I have a collar here as well. Wow! Set up for success, like I said. I mean it. But if this collar's around your dog's neck and you have the leash like this, and then you're pulling your dog this way, and it's like, okay, I feel you pulling me this way. And you pull your dog this other way, it's like, oh, I get it, we're going over here now. But then if some slack gets on the lead and you're on this side of the dog, but the little play where the hook connects to the collar actually falls the other way, you're over on the right side of the dog, but the weight's on the left side of the dog in this case, because the little hook just fell to the left, even though you're standing on the right. The dog feels the pull off to its left side, and you're on its right side. Like, why aren't you coming, dog? And you're so mad at your dog when it's not disobeying, it's being pulled. And that's the thing, is you teach your dog to, come to the pull of the leash, but just the weight of the little clip thing here that just has play in it like this and doesn't have just a nice solid hook with no motion between the leash and the collar, right? Because a slip lead, it would just be like this. It would be just directly against the dog, so you pull one way and it's just a direct pull. You pull the other way and it's a direct pull. There's not the play of this little clip that can actually fall the opposite way of where you're trying to pull your dog to, okay? Anyway, so the dog is not being disobedient, and a lot of the time when the human beings, owners, right, the owners of the dog, which are the human beings, sometimes we think our dogs are being disobedient when they're not. It's just an animal. It doesn't know what you want it to do until you tell it what you want it to do. And you have to train it on how to even listen to that in the first place. And then you have to do all you can to be intentional about stuff like this, and then that's where the phrase comes in, you don't know what you don't know. You can't be held accountable for not knowing that you shouldn't have a little clip here to have play in it when you just need your dog to have a really direct, listen to this, no give kind of pull, right? I mean, you just pull your dog on one side and it should just immediately have tension. Pull your dog on the other side, it should immediately have tension. With something here in between, like the clip between the leash and the collar or the leash and the harness, that doesn't allow your dog to really have consistent tension on the other end of the lead from your hands. So it just couldn't really know in all times, in all cases, where you're actually trying to get it to go. Okay, so that's the point. It's stuff like this. And this is what I mean, is I know a lot. I'm going to say that first. That's not what I was saying going into that, but I know a lot about all this. But what I was really going to say there is I know a lot of what we will be discussing. But yeah, I just know a lot about this because that's how I could know a lot of what we'll discuss, is because I know a lot to discuss. I truly do. I mean, I am the founder of this company. I'm in this for life. I'm saying it like this because I know as of today's date, we do not yet have any poodles. We do not yet have any team members under In the Image Clothing Company's team. The poodles themselves are team members as well, okay? We do not yet have any products to sell as of today's date, the 14th of December, 2025. We do not yet have our building down there in St. George, Utah. We do not yet have this looking how it will. We have not yet worked with any other company officially, as in the Image Clothing Company, as of today's date, the 14th of December, 2025. And so that's why I'm saying it like I am, is no matter how it looks, we're set up for success. And so much of what we always are and will be is just video anyway. And we've got like 1,000 videos, give or take, as of today's date, all very intentional and properly done in the ways that, you know, they're properly done, not by worldly standards of what it could mean to have like a proper video. Do you see what I mean? That's the point of me saying this, is so you can see what I mean. Okay, that's the point of me documenting these things, is so you can see what I mean. Okay, I'm in this for life. I've set it up in a way where, yeah, we're set up. I mean, it's good. We're done. We're here. It's kind of weird because we can say it like that. We are done. There's certain things we are done with. But it's not just like we're here just to get things done so that they're done. We're here to keep expounding and building on this. But we're done with certain things that now will allow us to expound, because those things are done as of today's date already, the 14th of December, 2025. And just the date marking, you know, your life as a journal is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We just discussed being a record-keeping people in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you know, just disciples of Jesus Christ. That's how we have records that were kept of who God is, you know, is because there were record-keeping people. It is what it is, bro. So just to be very clear, I'm being very clear. I love it, bro. And I love it too, you know, how stuff just works out. I've got stuff sitting right here. There's a harness right here too that I could show a visual with, you know, and discuss and explain with. Same thing with the collar and the leash, for a harness and a leash. But this is what I mean, is this kind of stuff applies to owners of horses. I mean, you have bits and bridles, and you have, you know, halters and, you know, leads on horses. I mean, you have lassos as a cowboy if you're like wrangling cows, even goats. You know, you've got, yeah, like headgear, if you will, right? However we could describe it for whatever animal it is, something you put around the muzzle of an animal, or around its neck, or a harness type thing around its body. That's what I mean. Our information applies to everything that our information applies to, and that's a lot of stuff. we just discuss so much here. We do so much without spreading ourselves thin. That's why it's so cool, is because it's just set up so well. And I can't even really take credit for it, other than just the one taking the action to do it. It's really just me praying through it, or I wouldn't know what I'm doing. There's a lot of the stuff I didn't know anything about until founding In the Image Clothing Company. And just praying through it, I get revealed things to God as and when he needs me to. I get revealed things by God, is what I meant to say. Yeah. Anyway, there you go, dude. I mean, it is what it is. So, yeah, water, you know, just having healthy, clean water places. Trash and litter, you know, is a big thing. Animals, and, you know, understanding how to deal with wild animals, how to be safe around snakes. We've got, you know, western diamondback rattlesnakes, poisonous snakes, well, venomous snakes, poisonous bugs and plants. Things like what to keep your dog away from, how to keep your dog safe from. Don't let your dog be eating poisonous plants, but if you don't know what plants are poisonous, you know, your dog could get really sick or potentially die. You know, things like porcupine and, yeah, snake bites, you know, keeping your dogs away from these things, keeping your dog's feet safe on the hot, sandstone, red rocks in St. George, Utah's desert, for example, right? Keeping your dog's ears clean, cleaning out your dog's ears after they get wet, after they go in the water. Let's say we've got a Clean the Creek Poodle Parade event and you come and we're cleaning up trash and we're also just hanging out at some water place, a river or a lake, reservoir, whatever it is like this at all. That's why it's called Clean the Creek specifically. It's for the sake of the water, okay? And removing trash from it and its surrounding areas. Okay, that's what I'm saying. There's your context. That's what I'm doing, is giving context. But the dogs, especially, poodles have hair, so you have to cut their hair. And if you've got a poodle with pretty long hair, well, then more water can stay in the hair of the dog if there's more hair for the water to stay in. So keeping the dog's ears clean so they don't get ear infections, And then, yeah, just how to groom poodles in ways. We'll just get so into it. That's the point. I mean, I could just keep saying it, but I'm in this for life, and so we'll do these things. I'm giving context on a lot of what we will do, but also just giving the information on what it is, even right now. So it's just what it is. It's so cool to be able to sit here and just speak. The gift of video, the gift of being able to speak so well that I've been personally given, Evan Strong, by God. I mean, it's crazy how good I am at speaking. Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, shoot, So, yeah, Nita, I mean, working dogs, you've got cattle dogs, you've got, yeah, shepherd dogs. You've got dogs that do a lot for a lot of people. Search and rescue dogs, police dogs. A lot of these dogs, well, they'll apply from all the same information that they'll benefit from all the same information we give on letting dogs stay natural apply to all these dogs in professions that are extremely important to us as human beings, and just our lifestyles, our livelihoods, the way that our societies are structured, right? A lot of this stuff really does need to be known. You've got a police canine with a full-on vest on, and maybe it's just, cinched up, imbalanced, and maybe the officer whose dog it is doesn't really know how to be as intentional as he or she could be on just making sure the dog's vest is as centered as it can be, just for the motion of the dog's limbs as it's walking, and for the dog to be able to breathe. Keeping collars snug is a big thing, right? The importance of snug collars. Yeah, it's a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company for human beings, and also, for dogs. It's just as important, so that they're not trying to hold the collar in place and deactivating their musculature. I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. My name's Evan Strong, Yeah. I'm the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. There's 4 sides to us. We do a lot. Under the gift of video, man. I could never do anything else besides just make videos, and In The Image Clothing Company could be all that it would need to be. That's the truth. That's why it's so cool. That's why it's so crazy. That's why it's the gift of video. We would never have to have any products. We would never have to have any in-person events for people to be personally with us, kind of, right? Personally impersonal, at least through video. I mean, that's what I'm saying, the gift of video. We would never have to have a building. We just make videos. I mean, I just keep doing it the way that I've been doing it up until today's date, and I could have this be my lifelong company and still do all of the things that I've discussed we're going to be doing. Except for, the things that would be additional to video, I guess, like selling products and stuff like that. But that's what I'm saying, is just to make it clear on how much of what we do will always be video, and how important that is for what we do. I mean, it's the advertisement of what we do, but it in itself is just one of the biggest things that we do. It's so crazy. I mean, it's so weird that it can be like this, that we can structure things this way. Even through music. I mean, I never would have to go to a recording studio. I just film a video of me playing music. You just take the audio clip from it. Sure, it's not going to be quite the same as being in a studio, and having the mixer and putting all the different parts of things together individually and, whatever, sure, but it wouldn't have to be that for it to be just what it is. I mean, you go listen to live music and you like that more, usually, most people do at least, than professionally recorded music. Do you see what I mean? It's the truth of all things, the gospel of Jesus Christ. Things are just what they are. Sometimes us trying to make things better makes them worse. So, anyway, natural materials is such a big thing, such a big focus in the products, right? In dog products, collars, leashes, harnesses, and anything placed onto dogs, in dog food, in human being clothing, in human being food, and then just our lives as we sleep. Food is a big one, yeah. Man. So, anyway, there you go. I mean, I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. And expect to see so much beautiful documentation under the gift of video of this beautiful state of Utah. Expect us to be always geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ, specifically the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you kind of have a problem with that, that's fine. Depending on where you're coming from, you might not really know what that even is, and that's, what I say. You don't know what you don't know. You can't be held accountable for what you don't know. And not only is that what I say, it says that in the Word of God. And so that's what I'm saying is, if you've got a problem with that, you probably don't know much about it, because it truly is the truth of all things, and don't believe me, right? The gospel of Jesus Christ, yeah, it's crazy to say these things because it's out of my hands. All right. And sheltered in God's wings. Truly, truly, truly. Like a hen gathereth her chickens. Right? It is what it is. So, I don't know. I don't know if I keep filming this. We might wrap it up. It doesn't need to be longer than it needs to be to discuss this as it is. Just a lot of context. Even though we're a clothing company, it's really for the environment, for the health of human beings and dogs, for the mechanical operation being allowed to be there of the bodies of flesh and blood and bone. Okay. Wildlife, nature, video, in-person things, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yeah, and the poodles they're just a part of all of it. Somebody who, well, just picture it like this. Picture somebody who has a service dog who goes with them just about everywhere. Now imagine that person's entire life and whatever they ever do, their dog is a part of it. I don't know how many of our dogs will be registered service dogs under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. Maybe quite a bit, maybe basically all of them, maybe just a couple. I'm just saying, right, that's kind of the focus, is that type of approach. Purebred standard poodles, man, that's one of the most commonly used dog breeds for service animals, service dogs specifically, right? And so they're the second smartest dog breed, statistically, like actually measured, right? So they're great. Basically don't shed, basically don't drool. They're amazing, okay? There's a lot of reasons why we use poodles for what we do. They've got webbed feet, man. So do Labrador retrievers and hound dogs. A lot of hound dogs do, right? But yeah, they've got these like soft, light little steps. They're so gentle, and they're gentle dogs. Every dog's individual where it is, but generally. And that's one of the biggest focuses of all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company is our purebred standard poodles. The breeding program, yeah, that's a big part, but then there's a lot more to it. But that is a big part. I mean, we're going to be breeding poodles. Yeah, we're going to have puppies. We're going to have just litters coming where we do. Yeah, that's what I mean. Our whole entire company could just be a purebred standard poodle breeding program, right? Each of the things that we do under In the Image Clothing Company could be its own company entirely, but it's all encapsulated in all four sides of what we are. But it's done in the way that we are not spread thin, because being so simple and minimal, and that being our values and our focus under In the Image Clothing Company, but me personally, Evan Strong, as the founder, that's how my life is, okay? We don't want to have more things than we need to try to like keep up with and make sure we got it all, and do we get everything done? And we want to make it so streamlined, so simple, and a lot of it's to stuff like that. I've been thinking about it like this. Recently, I'll eat a container of yogurt in this like plastic little tub. It's probably about a 32-ounce tub, plastic container. You call it a tub, it's just a container. And then after it's empty, I'll just use it as my garbage can or garbage bag. So I don't have to use a bag to contain the amount of garbage that could fit in this little yogurt container. 32 ounces, I mean, that's like quite a bit of space. A fourth of a gallon, as far as I know. I think so. Yeah. Anyway, what I'm saying is stuff like this as well, when it comes to I run a clothing company and do things with dogs, under In the Image Clothing Company's team and how our building will be. This is how I'll have our team members be. This is another one of those things when I say we need strong people as our team members, God-fearing people as our team members under In the Image Clothing Company. They've got to be able to deal with the dogs, and that can be a lot of work, a lot of puppies to raise, cleaning up after all the, fecal matter, okay? Yeah, all the laundry for the dogs when they're breeding, and when dogs are giving birth, it can be a pretty, I don't want to use the word messy, but messy, right? Thing. I mean, it's beautiful. It's the gift of birth, but it's the gift of life. I mean, it is what it is, but there's a lot that comes with it. We've got to have team members that can deal with this stuff, keeping the dog's area that they're housed in really clean, so that we can be a credible breeder, and so that our dogs can personally just be healthy, and just keeping things clean and organized well. We need strong team members for these things under In the Image Clothing Company's team. But then the physical size of the dog, that's what I'm saying. Besides just the fact that dogs are individuals, poodles are gentle dogs, and they have such a high desire to please their owner. They're clingy dogs, they want to be right with you all the time. So again, another one of the reasons why we chose purebred standard poodles specifically to do what we do as In the Image Clothing Company, with 1/4 of us being In the Image Clothing Company poodles. But yeah, I mean, they're big, strong dogs. You got to be able to restrain them. And so In the Image Clothing Company's team members, I'm not saying that we wouldn't have somebody on our team that's not so physically strong, but just you got to be, prepared to do all you need to do to restrain that big of a dog. That's what I'm saying, right? I'm giving context. I've thought about all this stuff that I'm saying right now, at least. That's how I'm saying it, right? There's a lot that I really am already prepared for, okay, that I'm already expecting, that I've already planned, set up, laid out, even just as of today's date, okay? The 14th of December, 2025, before any of it's ever happened. Any of the things that haven't happened yet, right? Yeah. And there's a lot, right? It's already ready. It's already ready. In a lot of ways. So what I was saying, though, about the strong team members and the poodles size, containers of things at our building, we'll do things under the gift of video at our building, In the Image Clothing Company's building. It'll be just like this cool warehouse place, where we just do what we do as a company, just for our team, right? Not for other people to come in, but you'll see what happens in there through video, the gift of video. And it's things like this, just using the least amount of resources that we need. I mean, toilet paper, only use the amount you need. Soap, only use the amount you need. All the things like this that we have that are like consumables, right? Paper towels and tissues and paper plates or disposable plates and cutlery, cups and glasses. Well, it wouldn't be a glass if it were disposable. Well, I guess you could say glasses are disposable as well, like glass material cups or bottles. But this is what I mean, stuff like this, silverware and bags to hold things in and contain things with, we'll be as intentional as we can be, myself, Evan Strong, and then I'll lead the team through this intentionality that I'm discussing right now before it's ever happened, right? This is what I mean. This is where the intention is before we even have the building to be intentional in. Okay? It's things like garbage bags. I mean, don't just use a garbage bag for something. If you just opened up something else that was in a bag that you could just put garbage into that bag and throw that away. It's already garbage. Use your garbage to house other garbage before you use more garbage to house garbage. Right? This is how we keep our planet healthy, one of the ways. And this is one of the things we are, as in the Image Clothing Company, is advocating for just environmental health. You don't have to care, but you have to survive if you're going to survive. And if we damage the planet to the degree where it's really, really hard to survive, it's going to be really, really hard to survive, regardless of what you believe in or care about. Do you see what I mean? That's why I don't believe in anything, because the truth is certain things affect us all, regardless of what you believe of anything, climate change or, extinction of animals and how much effect we're having on it. Well, regardless of what you believe, can we measure some things statistically so that we don't have to believe in anything and just see what's the truth? I don't believe in anything, but I preach the gospel of Jesus Christ because it's the truth of all things. You see what I mean? It's the truth. It's not some kind of way of saying it. I'm just speaking it literal as it is. That's what I mean. If you got a problem with us, stick around, because we're just saying what we're saying. We're not trying to get you on board with anything. We're just explaining some things that are just what they are. As in the Image Clothing Company, bro. I mean, that's what it is. It's crazy, though. It's ridiculous. It's beautiful. It's such a gift. I'm so grateful. Just expressing gratitude, is one of the biggest things you'll ever do in life. For things you're grateful for, authentically, yeah. So, anyway, there you go. Yeah. We can't get after animals for being what they are. They're animals. Certain dog breeds are going to act in a certain way because cattle dogs are bred to herd things, right? Shepherds or sheep herd dogs, that's just the literal wording, right? They're bred to run after things. You can't get after like a healer for healing something, meaning running after the heels of something, your dog's chasing somebody, but it's bred to do that. It's like, oh, well, that's your fault as the owner if you're getting after it for that. Huskies are bred to run and pull things, right? Hound dogs are just bred to dig in the burrows of the ground to get animals out, right? So if your hound dog is digging holes, you can't get after it. It's been bred to do that. It's in its biology, in its actual DNA, and in its genes, Or again, howling, certain dogs, they're bred to like alert things, and they're supposed to do that. It's in their breeding. It's in their actual body, physically. They can't oppose their own DNA. Not really. And well, not naturally. There you go. That's the big focus. Yeah, hound dogs. I was thinking about something else that hound dogs do. Because, yeah, they'll dig. Right? I mean, this is what I mean, is information that applies to all animals in the ways that it does. If you've got a pet or just an animal under your ownership in some way, in any way like that you're, you can't get after the animal for doing what the animal would naturally do just because it's not something you want it to do. You don't get to decide. It does what it does. God has ways that things work. There's opposition in all things. Everything has its role to play. Like I say with the body, no compensation can be had. Everything's there with a role to play. It only ever works activated as a whole. It's all there if any of it's there, or it's not. Okay? And what I mean is, yeah, Huskies are bred to run, right? German Shepherds are, sniffing. That's what I was thinking when I was talking about the hound dogs. German Shepherds, or whatever those police dogs are called, the Malinois or something. Um, you know, dogs that are meant to sniff things out. Hounds are a big one, right? If your dog's like sniffing you all over the place, even, in places of your body where you don't want it to sniff you, they're bred to do that. You can't get after them. Choose a different dog breed if you can, or if you already have the dog, you have to accept it. Otherwise, you're just being mean to the dog, trying to get it to be inauthentic to itself, and you'll get frustrated because it will never actually happen. You getting it to stop doing something? Well, I mean, you could probably train certain behaviors to not be had, but it's just going against the dog's natural biology, or whatever animal it is. Like I'm saying, animals, they just have certain things that they are naturally going to be doing. Okay. So, yeah. That's the thing, right? There's a lot of dogs that have a lot of different behaviors that other dogs just basically don't do at all. And you're not going to get them to stop it. I mean, you're not. No, yeah. I want to say it like that. I just don't want it to be such a right? Do you see what I'm saying? I don't want to sound like, but you're just not. See, there you go. Now you see what you're not going to get dogs to stop certain behaviors that are just naturally in their biology because of their specific breed. So this is what I mean. In the Image Clothing Company, specifically, oh my gosh, I'm in this for life. Yeah, I know what I'm doing with this. I know why this is what it is, and I know a lot. And that's not prideful, but that's just, it's the truth. I know what I'm saying when I'm saying the things that I'm saying under In the Image Clothing Company, because I am the founder and there's a reason this is what it is, and it's just the truth. There's no opinions to these things that we discuss like this when there's not opinions to them, okay? Hear what I'm saying before you think I'm claiming something, because I'm not. I'm not trying to, at least. I'm not. I am not. I don't have claims. It just wouldn't do me or anyone else any good to try to have some claim to get someone to believe or get someone on board with something. It's not going to help anybody. Truth is truth. We're just trying to get down to it, and then we share it with you, as in the Image Clothing Company. That's what we do. So the point is, there's a lot of dogs. A lot of people are so unhappy with their behavior, and it's the owner's fault. Unless you just don't know, then I guess you can't be held accountable for it being your fault, but it's still your fault. You see what I mean? You're not going to get your dog to oppose its own biology, its own internal wirings, and, breeds natural traits. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen, okay? So, even stuff like this, awareness of, if you're going to go buy a puppy, that's great. First of all, please prepare first. In all the ways, right? Taking care of our dogs is an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. The only episode that I filmed in St. George, Utah, when I was there about a month ago. I filmed a lot of videos for the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. I wrapped up Metronome Madness, the 40-episode series on In the Image Clothing Company music, and filmed some other In the Image Clothing Company music content. I started TikTok Time Bomb, a series with a lot of percussive type stuff. Anyway, I did a lot of cool stuff down there. I was there for 2.5 weeks, and I was working, man. Oh, I loved it so much. I just walked so much, tens of miles a day, and just hiked, just alone, It's just so great. Oh, shoot. That's where I got this bowl, both of these bowls and this harness, and that collar, right, at a thrift store down there in St. George, Utah. You got a button-up shirt and a backpack at the thrift store for the sake of In the Image Clothing Company. Not just ooh, new stuff, but it was, intentional for the reasons that I need it. It was just awesome. It was so cool. That's when I learned that St. George, Utah is the specific town in southern Utah we're going to be based in. As of me saying it right now, still on the 14th of December, 2025, I need to move down there first. And then we'll set up, as I've said, base camp for life, as in the Image Clothing Company, where our building will be, and a lot of the things I'm discussing here, okay, in this episode 193 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled, I Run a Clothing Company and Do Things with Dogs, okay? Because, yeah, taking care of our dogs, it starts before they're born, okay, with proper breeding, but even before the breeding, with picking proper dogs through in all the ways we could and can health test them, and ideally having registered dogs, okay, to further good bloodlines of dogs. I mean, just to do it proper. These are animals, bro. They would never be under ownership of a human being unless they were. Naturally, they're just out there, like coyotes, wolves, foxes, dingoes, African painted dogs. What are the kind of dogs out there, I mean, there's dogs out there, dude. There's some dogs out there. There's some dogs out there, bro. There's some dogs out there. And I love them. That's what I'm saying, is I know what I'm talking about, so don't believe me. But hear the context of the words I speak, and don't take a single word I say as truth. But if it's truth, it's truth. I don't get to decide. I'm in this for life, brother. We're doing it correct in all the ways we can. The only way you can is by serving Jesus Christ, who is God. Don't believe me. So, anyway, yeah, the dogs, man. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. Thank you. I don't know if you heard it. You probably saw it too if you're in visual plus audio. My jaw, TMJ area, or the ear cartilage, right? There was a release there on both sides of it just then. A permanent release, not the way that you like pop your joints and then do it again tomorrow. It's the breaking up of excessively grown cartilage in the ears from me placing things in my ears to listen to music with for so many years. And then just also the ears just being overgrown through incorrect shoulder positioning through so many years. The ears are the jaw essentially, but the ears are the shoulder. Well, the jaw is directly the shoulder, and so the ears are just the gap or the hole for us to receive sound waves in through, between the rear of our lower jawbone, which is this mandible here. That's what the bone's called. And then the base of the skull back here, where that sternocleidomastoid muscle that comes down connects to the sternum and the collarbone. From the mastoid up at the head here, it's, anyway, right there. I'm in this for life. I know what I'm talking about. This is eternal truths. Am I trying to convince myself? No, I'm not, but I'm making it clear each time I document it under the gift of video. Okay. Yeah, how looking down opposes bad posture. Seen with context, though. That's a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. The natural bite size, right? We can only open our jaw a certain distance before our head angle has to actually move, pivoting on the base of the skull and the top of the spine back there, the cervical spine. That's a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, the natural bite size. The importance of the corners of the mouth. We talk about the importance of small utensils to keep them off the corners of our mouth. Anyway, I'm in this for life. This is the truth. Don't believe me. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. But anyway, we put a lot of focus on the ears too, as well as the jaw, because the ears are the jaw directly. I mean, they're touching the jaw. They're connected to the jaw. The same skin on all of the body is the same skin on all of the body. As we turn our head, it's the ears, really, as one of the things that as everything is in the body, all connected, that determine the ability to turn our head left and right, or just have motion in our head at all, and speak clearly. How clothing affects speaking. Well, that's a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, and a lot of it is the ears. Clothing, yeah, anything placed onto or in the ears, or even a hat with the hat resting on the top of the ears. I've got a hypothetical video to film under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. It hasn't happened yet, as of me saying it right now, on the 14th of December, 2025, but titled Not Pushing or Pulling on the Ears, okay? Like earrings, pulling down on the ears, hats, pushing down on the top of the ears, things that we just don't know if we don't know. Right? Anything placed over the ears in any way that are just pushing them into the head, or glasses placed on the top of the ears. That's another thing. I wore glasses for about 2.5 years. Right? We talk about blowing the nose centered, the importance of even nostrils, videos under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. Well, the one about blowing the nose is titled, yeah, something about that. Maybe it is titled Blowing the Nose Centered. That might be what it's titled. It's just like that, something like that at least. That's the point of it. On the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, right? This is what I mean. I've been working, brother. Brother. No question that could be had unless you just don't know, and that's fine. But I'm just making it clear. Because I'm in this for life. Okay? Humble yourself and be as a little child, or otherwise you can't enter the kingdom of heaven. So I pout sometimes, like a little boy. There you go, dude. How professional do you want to be? Well, if it, is sacrificing authenticity, no thanks. Not at all. No. Okay? But I know what I'm saying, and so that's good. That is good. It's good to know what you're saying, otherwise maybe don't speak, for all of us. Yeah. How to be bold. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Essentially, just know what you're talking about, speak truth in all the ways you can. You don't know what you're talking about. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Really, what I'm saying is, if you don't speak. Right? It goes for myself as well. That's what I mean. But I'm saying that for the sake of, I'm just so grateful for the documentations of all this, because this is how you know that I know what I'm talking about. And why I say it so often is because then I can reference you to all the videos where I've discussed the things that I talk about in deeper depth than maybe I am saying in the moment when I'm saying it. As at one of the times that I discussed something that we discussed multiple times, it's like, I know what I'm saying. I'm letting you know because you can go hear me say it more and deeper in other places. It's called the gift of video. That's what I call it, at least as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. It's crazy. It's so ridiculous, bro. Because that's kind of the explanation. Because the focus is, we've got 4 distinct different sides of In The Image Clothing Company. And they're all equally what they are. I don't know how to even word that, because there's just 4 sides to us. And they're all just 4, there's 4 sides to us. But just the extent of what the poodles will be doing with and for us on all 4 sides is why it's titled like this episode, right? I run a clothing company and do things with dogs because we're going to do everything we do with dogs. Part of being a good owner of dogs is please do all you can to not get a dog if you're not planning to have that dog spend as much time as you possibly can have it spend with you as its owner. It's just an animal. It would just be in its, especially with dogs, they're pack animals. It would just be in its pack, playing its role in its pack and having its family, if we didn't domesticate them and then just stick them in a crate in the backyard. See what I mean? That happens. Sometimes people are so excited to get a dog so that they can just stick it in a corner somewhere. No, naturally the dog would just be a part of a family out there. There's a lot of intricacies and intricate roles that get played in the packs of wild dogs, as there is with a lot of animals naturally, so you don't need to be getting a dog if you're not going to be spending time with it. Get a dog for it to be with you and for you to be with it. So that's a big part of how to be a good owner of dogs. Okay. And don't get multiple dogs if you're not even going to be able to keep up with one. And that's a big point of why some of our dogs will be in what we call guardian homes. Just somebody else will house the dogs for us that we have in our breeding program, and then we'll bring them to our possession for the months that they're being bred and the puppies are being raised. Each dog will only have 3 litters of puppies through In The Image Clothing Company's breeding program, as I've said. There's an episode title of In The Image Clothing Company podcast. It's something like In The Image Clothing Company's purebred standard poodle breeding program. I think that's what it's titled. Something just like that, if not. But yeah, just for the health of the mother dogs, we don't want to just be having them have so many pregnancies that it takes such a toll on their bodies. But 3 litters is great. Okay. 3 litters is what each of our mother poodles will have. And then we'll not let them have any more puppies, okay? Through how we do that, okay? So anyway, I just don't want to give definitive whatever, but yeah, right, that is definitive for sure in all the ways that we can limit, if you can hear what I mean by limit. All right, only 3 litters per mother dog through In the Image Clothing Company's breeding under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, purebred standard breeding program. Poodles, it's purebred standard poodles breeding program. I got so humbled because this is, yes, okay, I know what I'm doing to the degree that I know what I'm doing. It's what it is, bro, and it's set up for success. And my heart is full of gratitude to God because I'm just taking action out of faith as I'm being prompted to do things. I'm just being obedient to the best of what I can do. But anyway, yeah, don't let your dogs just be alone for all the time. You know, I mean, I get it. You got a life that maybe sometimes you're doing things and you can't bring your dog with you. Really, the reason I was giving context with that, well, because that's just important to say. But where I was kind of going with it, in addition to just that being good context, is as in the Image Clothing Company, poodles, if you will, 1/4 of us, but all 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company, our dogs will be with us through all that we can have them possibly be with us through. That's like legally allowed. Some places just really don't allow dogs. But that's one of the reasons why our specific poodles, like in the Image Clothing Company's team, our actual poodles that are ours, not just poodles we like deal with, if you can see what I mean by that. That's why it would be good for at least some of them to be registered service dogs, because a lot of places that don't allow pets or dogs allow registered service dogs because the dog's trained to obey well and have good manners, you know. And then we can have our poodles that are registered service dogs come with us places that otherwise wouldn't really allow dogs. And that just will make sense to do if and where we do it. There's some context because I've been thinking about this a lot, especially with like Nita or me, my personal dogs, Evan Strong, right? Because some of the dogs under In the Image Clothing Company poodles that are in our breeding program, they're not going to be called like Evan Strong's personal dog. See what I mean? Like Nita, for example, she'll be the first, and then after her, there will be dogs like this also that are just my personal dog. She'll be my girl, okay? More so than just me being the founder / leader in this for life of In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, and I'm kind of still over all of the poodles that are under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. There's going to be specific dogs that are like personally my dog. Nita will be the first, and that is a situation where it would make so much sense to have Nita be a registered service dog, okay? Because she'll be with me like in every case I can possibly have her be with me, no matter where I am at all. That's the point of having her. That's what I mean, okay? That is some beautiful context. Oh my gosh, documented under the gift of video. And so that'll be cool, you know, because, yeah, I mean, I can almost guarantee that there's going to be, you know, at least quite a few of In the Image Clothing Company poodles, personal poodles, you know, purebred standard poodles that will be registered service dogs, because it just would make sense to. Like I was saying earlier, you know, airplane rides, helicopter rides, certain buildings indoors and other people's places that we're at, that, you know, it would just make sense, you know, because we're going to be registering dogs anyway. Yeah, it wouldn't be a hard thing to get them trained as service dogs. I mean, it's a pretty in-depth training, but that's why it's kind of, I don't know exactly how it's going to be structured. I'm just not trying to give definitive answers on things that I don't know yet for sure, because I'm going to get Nita as a puppy, but then sometimes service dog training takes a good amount of time, you know. But then there's other certificates like the Canine Good Citizen program, you know, that we'll just see is what I mean. exactly which dogs we register it in what ways. All of our dogs that we can have. I mean, we're not perfect, and so that's the thing. But that's the goal, is to register all of our dogs. Like just having them under a registry as when they were born, and where they came from genealogy wise. But certain dogs are going to get a higher level of training and certification where and when and if, right? Because it would make sense to. There you go. Good context. Good context. I've been thinking about this stuff, especially the past few weeks. I just don't know exactly how that's going to work with certain dogs because, uh, you know, just because I don't know yet is the point, Things are just going to unfold how they do. Yeah. But you can see, right, again, all this stuff that I've documented and the context I've given before we've ever had a single poodle, you can see that we are doing this as properly as we can possibly do this. Always being a huge name in poodles, under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, keeping less dogs in shelters, more dogs at homes, letting dogs stay natural, doing it for the health of dogs. This is, the proper breeding. We're doing it as well as we possibly can. We're imperfect, but the point is to do it well. And there could be no possible dispute that we've had the intention to do so because it's been documented under the gift of video before it ever happened. That's the point. That's the point. I'll say it a third time for the sake of there being one God. That's the point. Yeah. Right, the Trinity. Yeah, God. He's almighty. I love it. Anyway, doing things with dogs, bro. And running a clothing company. That's what I do as Evan Strong. Yeah, that's going to be a lifetime of this too. It's cool. I mean, a lot of it's for the dogs. I mean, we're giving these dogs experiences. That's what I mean by helicopter rides and stuff like that. The dogs will love it. No joke, The point with that, it's just, I mean, we're doing a lot of things in places they're very remote. I mean, we're in the true desert down there in St. George, Utah. And just Utah itself, it's a very rural place in a lot of ways. It's very, spread out, natural, very mountainous, very open plains, very desertous, very red rock, very green and lush. It's very diverse. There's a lot to Utah, bro. And it's a pretty big state. I mean, relatively, it's a big area. You could probably drive north to south. That's the long end of Utah in about 5 hours. But it's 75 to 80 mile per hour, maybe 70 mile per hour, speed limits from north to south. It's a good sized area. It'll be great, dude. The gift of video, bro. Shoot through the ceiling, bro. That's how I feel, Anyway, so doing things with dogs, it means so much more than just the dogs. It's what the dogs are just going to be with us through, as we do so much through In the Image Clothing Company and all four sides. Okay. So there you go. Oh, it's great though. I mean, even people with like special needs, I've discussed this before. The poodles, man, it'll just help them, And I don't know exactly how much of that and this and what and if we're going to be dealing with. I'm a lyricist, truly, a lot of rhythm and poetry for real, but I'm a rapper, bro. So let's uncover what's really going on. What am I saying with this, bro? I'm just saying I'm so excited because we need help. We need some really good people doing some really good things to try to keep us on a straight and narrow path back to heaven, in all seriousness. And that's what I want us to be, all that we can be, as In the Image Clothing Company. That's the focus, that's the goal, that's what it is, doing really good things. There's so many breeding instances that happen out there, and then a lot of really unhealthy dogs just from like puppies and litters that just kind of happened to happen. And now you've got this whole litter of, 3 to 15 dogs or whatever it is, Some dogs have a lot of puppies and some only have maybe one even, Yeah, and then now you've got all these dogs that are unhealthy and were never even expected just because you just kind of happen to have a litter come, right? And it happens. I mean, things like this sometimes are unavoidable, and we understand that as just being understanding human beings in all the ways that we can be understanding. That, I mean, yeah, you're not going to be perfect at doing anything ever. But in all seriousness, just advocating for don't breed dogs unless you're really trying to do all you can to do it proper. You can make money doing it. You can just crank out litters, and what you can do is end up with a lot of expensive veterinarian bills, a lot of really sad owners when their dogs have to be put down and humanely euthanized, dogs that just die, dogs with short lifespans, dogs that have to have, cancerous surgeries, cancer removed. I mean, so much stuff like this. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to cough. Shout out to In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification. I've got stacked double dreaded collar seams on my upper left shoulder with these 2 shirts on currently. But they're both modified. It's not all that bad, but it's still double the thickness of the material where those seams are. It's not in any other location around the circumference of the top collar around my neck, with even musculature opposing the center line of the body. Talk about keeping collars centered. This is what we really do, is these type of things, as in the Image Clothing Company, okay? For the dogs, is a big point. The dogs just can't help themselves. They can't. They cannot. So many dogs out there that need to be rehomed. Sometimes at shelters, you'll have like animal surrender. They have a form you fill out where people just can't take care of their dogs anymore. So what they do is they, quote, surrender their dog over to the shelter, unquote. You see what I mean? Like, I don't know what to do with this anymore. It's more responsibility than I can handle at the time. And sometimes that just happens, and sometimes that's not even a bad thing. Because you can be prepared in all the ways that you can be prepared, but you can't be prepared for things that you don't expect. Things that you couldn't ever have expected that come up in your life. You change your life situation through somebody dying in your life, maybe like financial changes, relationship dynamic changes, anything. You have to move. The amount of time you have to spend with your dog changes for certain reasons that come up in your life that you just couldn't have expected beforehand. There's things like this certainly, there's times and places where, yeah, I mean, people do in times and in places for reasons that are not their fault have to surrender their dogs over to somebody else who can take care of them. And this goes for any animals. Again, like I'm saying, a lot of our information does apply to all animals, okay? On In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, letting dogs stay natural. So when we have things like this, animal shelters with human beings surrendering their animals over to the shelter, I don't really know exactly if I was going anywhere else with that besides just giving context on it. But yeah, I mean, that's the point. Is we can rehome dogs like this. And one thing, though, that's big is sometimes dogs have medical problems that are too much for people to deal with, too expensive for people to deal with, that often come from just improper breeding. Unintentional breeding. Anything can happen. Anything can come up. You can be as intentional as you possibly could, and you can still have problems with anything ever, sure. But if you're not doing all you can out of all you know, because you just don't know what you don't know, and that's fine. But all you do know, you have to be as intentional as you can with those things, Those are the things we are held accountable for. You're just not held accountable for what you don't know. You couldn't be. But the things right, we just have to realize this is a life form. These dogs, and then just all animals, the wildlife. That's what I'm saying in this episode specifically, just yeah. We'll do so much with so much. And we have to realize these are just life forms as we are as human beings. And we have to just take care of them. If we're taking ownership of them, if we're putting a rope around their neck and saying, you can't leave me, right? Well, then you're in charge of it. with a leash or a lead is what I mean. Yeah. I keep looking over at this collar, man. Keeping collars centered is one of the biggest things for anything, any life form. That's what I'm saying. It's just a life form. You place a man-made thing around its neck. That's all you're doing with a collar. Human being clothing or dog collars or horses or goats or sheep or whatever it is. Anything. Pigs. You've got pigs that are service animals out there. Pigs are smart. Like very smart. Yeah. Pot-bellied pigs, miniature pigs, all sorts of different kind of pigs. Goats are very smart. There's a lot of animals that get used for so many things that we maybe just don't really realize generally as human beings. There's a lot of animal work that gets happened out there. And when I was driving around the lake earlier today, like I was saying, after filming that video for the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, I drove past this pasture of horses. There's cows out there too, just free roaming, They're fenced in to a degree, but free roaming as in they cross the road you drive on, and there's cattle guards that keep them in a certain area. But there were so many horses. I mean, there was hundreds of horses in this little area. I was like, man, that's a lot of horses in one little area. So, I was thinking like some people are saying, I finally got a horse. And these people have hundreds of horses in a pasture. I feel like that's not a very common thing. And there's so many things that are so much more common to have in life than we often realize as human beings if we're just not interacting with it that often. And that's a lot of what I mean, when I say, right, I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. A lot of what we do with dogs is getting people into nature and dogs into nature, giving people awareness of things that are happening, regardless of if they even know it's happening or not. There's so much happening on the earth. It's a big place, small world, big earth, Oh, shoot. It's like saying small brain, but big person. Oh, shoot. Even if that sounds harsh, some people, right? It's just the case. I'm just speaking it as it is to kind of give context. There's this man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. The earth's a pretty big place, but we're pretty small-minded in our little societies of our man-made world. And the earth's still the earth outside of your little society you create. I mean, I'm saying this to myself as well. If I try to think that the world is what I can make it be, no, it's God's earth. Okay, I'm just as human as anyone else. I'm not trying to condemn, but I can still say it as bold as I said it there, and to have that be needed to say, actually, okay? Because, yeah, that's what I mean. Doing things with dogs is stuff like this, giving awareness on things through the avenue of the ownership of canines, okay, which is just dogs, yeah, animals, anyway. Dude, we do a lot here, and so stick around for it. And if you got a question of who we really are, we've got a lot of context. So please don't try to come up with some opinion that is incorrect. Truth is truth. Okay. Goes for myself as well. It is what it is, dude. And that's all it is, dude. Wow. Right? Yeah. Things are only what they are. And we're going to do some cool things with some dogs. Just some big things. I mean, yeah, because we can show training where we do how to train dogs. We're going to have a lot of dogs under our ownership. And me as Evan Strong, personally, my personal dogs, like I was explaining with, Nita as one of them, she'll be just my personal dog. Even nothing to do with In The Image Clothing Company, but she'll also be one of In The Image Clothing Company poodles, right? But just as much as we train dogs and as much information as we learn on how to do anything like that with dogs, we can just share it and share it and share it and share it under the gift of video. There's so much that comes with being an owner of dogs. I mean, feeding is just one thing. Sleeping for the dog is just one thing. Hydration for the dog is just one thing. Training for the dog is just one thing. Restraining the dog through like a lead or leash of some kind, collar, harness, right? That's just one thing. Being a good owner comes with many different sides. Approaching a dog is just one thing. Restraining your dog, not only just through how you physically restrain your dog, but how you do that socially around other human beings is just one thing, right? Where your dog should or shouldn't be as far as you taking it to somebody else's place or property is just one thing. Cleaning up after your dog's feces is just one thing. Keeping your dog healthy through should you vaccinate your dog or not? Should you do it at all or not? Is some of that legally required where you live or is it not? And what's the, parameters around that? That's just one thing. How often should you take your dog to the veterinarian, which is just like the doctor for the dog? That's just one thing. Out of all the things we could discuss, each of these things are just one thing. Do you see what I mean? How to groom dogs and how much of it is for the health of the dog, like keeping the hair out of its ears and eyes so it can actually see and so its ears don't get infected, versus how much of it's just preference of what you want your dog to look like as far as the length of hair. That's just one thing. The nails of the dog is just one thing. This is great context, so I'm going to keep going as much as I say here because this is amazing to document. As of the 14th of December, 2025, from the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, Evan Strong, 1/4 of us being In The Image Clothing Company poodles. I'm in this for life. We're doing it proper. I know what I'm talking about. And I just do. To the degree that I do. You couldn't dispute it. I got the context. That's why I'm making it. That's why I'm putting it out. That's why we do this. That's why it's a gift of video. That's why I'm sitting on the carpet. I could sit anywhere, but it's natural to sit on the ground. Okay, that's just one thing that we discuss as In The Image Clothing Company. This is what I mean, bro. I'm in this for life. So, with dogs, though, yeah. Feeding dogs, rehydrating food that's been dehydrated. That's just one of the things we discuss. How to really... avoid unwanted litters that you just won't know how to deal with. Or what to do, and they just won't get treated properly, probably. That's just one thing that we can discuss and do and will, and I am already right now under In The Image Clothing Company, and specifically for In The Image Clothing Company poodles, because I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. And now you know, if you didn't before. If you've listened to this, okay, there's a lot of context. So much of it's just nature, man. I mean, trail dogs and adventure buddies through dogs, hiking dogs, mountain bikers with dogs. A lot of these things, you need to know how to do this safely. If you have a trail dog as a mountain biker or if you have a trail dog as a hiker or just a walker in the mountains or somewhere, right? Even on the side of the road, wherever it is, and you don't know how to be a good owner of your dog in the sense of keeping your dog right next to you in all the ways that you can through training and through you being intentional of proper length restraints, like slip leads or harnesses and leashes, collars and leashes, whatever it comes to being like that. And your dog's just farther away from you than you can actually keep a close grip on it, if you will. You got a mountain biker flying down the mountain at 25 miles an hour, and you're and you're just hiking up the mountain with your dog off leash, let's say, or just on a leash that's long enough that you can't hurry and get it right next to you to really get it out of the way. You might have a dead dog because it gets run over by a mountain biker. I'm a mountain biker. I don't know how much I'm going to mountain bike anymore throughout my life, but I've mountain biked so much in my past life, if you will. That's huge. That's such truth. That's so good to document because that's real. Dogs get killed all the time from things like that. Just mountain bikers running them over on a trail. So, how to be a good owner of a dog? Have a good recall command. Train your dog in all the way you can, all the ways you can, because there's a lot of ways you can. Oh, shoot. Through positive reinforcement rather than, punishing the dog for doing things wrong, reinforce it for doing things right. That's the better end to train things, life forms, right? In general, your children. Let me teach you how to be a parent as well. No joke. Because it's universal, right? That's good information universally. To reward positive behavior rather than punishing what we could call negative behavior or things that we don't want the dog to do. Always reward the positive end. But also, don't just give your dog treats and treats and treats and treats. We advocate for just about no treats. Just give your dog one diet. One food and stick to it. Hydrated food properly, right? And give your dog one food so it's healthy. Please. Please. You just don't know what you don't know, but we just give the context so that we can have all the people know that we can have no. That's why we're here as In The Image Clothing Company, and specifically 1/4 of us in The Image Clothing Company poodles. I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. But that's the point, right? Is when we have a good recall of our dogs, like if your dog's out there away from you and you just say, hey, come here, Nita, for example, right? My first poodle out of the many who I don't have yet, who one day will die, right? Come here, Nita, come, right? You say it once and she comes if you can. That's the goal with training dogs, for the safety of the dog, for the safety of other people's dogs and pets and cats. Some dogs just have a natural prey drive and they just want to eat a cat because they see it. Or a small dog, if your dog's big, you've got a Mastiff or a Great Dane and it sees a Chihuahua or like a Pomeranian, a Maltese, one of these little dogs out there. You got some little dogs out there, even a toy poodle, right? Just for the sake of the size. Small dog is just like natural prey for a large dog. That's what I'm saying. Wolves naturally just chase after rabbits. And, you know, small things like this, just in nature, or foxes, coyotes, they'll just chase after squirrels and small things like that. A big dog, to a degree, it truly just is in their biology. No matter how much training you do to try to like not have it be, for them to just want to attack a small dog. It's natural in nature, right? Before we've domesticated these dogs. It's just a dog. It was at one point just a wild animal. And then over time and through proper breeding, we've zeroed in on basically a new breed. Anything that just wasn't a natural dog before human beings got involved. And the point is that, yeah, we can really, really have unwanted encounters where dogs can just get killed. I mean, dog attacks happen. I referenced, I guess we can say referenced. I discussed on one of these past episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast within the past week here from today's date back. Today's the 14th of December, 2025. I know I've said it many times in this, but we're record-keeping people. That's the point of documenting these things the way that I am. And yes, that's one of the reasons, okay, is the date marks. So things line up. Anyway, it is what it is. Just to show the truth of it is really what I mean by things line up. We couldn't claim something. We say the date in it, and then we made something the next day, and you can just tell us the next day. It's like, it is what it is. It's our insurance policy in a lot of ways. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Insurance Policy, and that's a lot of what our insurance policy is just saying the date verbally in things that we film under the gift of video, under In the Image Clothing Company on all four sides. Wow. I say things intentionally, man, when I say things. Just about always, at least. I mean, yeah. Okay, we've got a dog here with a not a good recall, right? So your dog's off there doing something with whatever, it's sniffing out something, or it's just like checking things out. It's marking its territory on too many things. That's why I like female dogs more than I like male dogs. One of the reasons they don't mark their territory on things quite the same way by lifting their leg, because the anatomy is different. Okay, I've said that before too, but there's more context. Personally, that's one of the big reasons I appreciate female dogs. There's a lot of reasons, but that's one of them. Okay, over male dogs is what I mean. But I love male dogs, but just there's a lot of reasons that it can be beneficial to have a female dog. Really, there is. And vice versa, for the male dogs as well. But this is just me speaking out of experience, having a breeding program with female dogs under In the Image Clothing Company poodles, okay? So we've got a good recall where your dog's off somewhere and you just say, hey, Nita, come. And she comes right away. Here she is. Or any dog, right? But Nita will be the first for me, personally. As the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, I just keep saying these things. I'm just making it so clear is what I'm doing, what we're really doing here. Because yeah, you call your dog back, any dog, whatever it is, it's a dog though. If it's a dog, and you want him to come quick, because if there's a little dog that you see before your dog sees or smells, and you're like, oh shoot, my dog might just want to kind of go put that dog in its mouth, even if your dog's not aggressive, there's just some natural instincts sometimes that kick in, truly, that you're not going to overcome regardless of anything, any amount of training or whatever. And so you're like, oh shoot, there's a little dog over there. Hey, come here, come on. And you call your dog over, you want him to come immediate. Otherwise, yeah, you might have your dog eat another dog. Or if your dog's little, another dog might come eat it. And the same size dogs, they can attack each other. But what I was saying though is a few days ago, this past week here, when I was over at the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter, the secretary there, she's great, right? She's awesome. She told me though that they had a dog fight. A dog got attacked and two people got bit. So this is what I mean is doing things with dogs. It's not just the cute puppies. It's let's teach people how to really have their dogs have the best recall they can. So when the owner of the dog notices something before the dog does, that they don't want the dog to notice for safety reasons and health reasons and stuff like this, trespassing reasons as well, on people's properties that dogs aren't allowed onto. If you can recall your dog and just if we can get it to just you say it once, hey, come, they come. Maybe not that aggressively because especially poodles are so sensitive. You want to be really sweet with them, truly. You want them to want to come to you. You're yelling at them to come and they might want to run away from you. Even this though, this is a lot of the stuff of just debunking myths, if you will. Being more forceful with your dog, just like your kids in life, might cause them to want to disbehave more than behave. Well, misbehave, right? Do something against what you're saying, even if you're saying it more forcefully to try to get them to do it. They probably will want to do it less, right? Want to listen to you less at that point. But anyway, yeah, it's stuff like this, that we really do under In the Image Clothing Company. And specifically In the Image Clothing Company poodles in this case. But I'm doing it right now. When I say this is the stuff that we do, this is not one of those things that I'm saying we will do in the down the road that you have to wait for. I'm saying it now. I mean, this is me doing it. I'm giving information now. These are the pieces of information that we give. I'm giving it. This is me doing it. Right? That's what I mean. This is In the Image Clothing Company. Like I said, even if we never had dogs, we still let dogs stay natural. I still give information on letting dogs stay natural and all of what that means. Being good owners of dogs and all of what that means. I'm doing it right now. It's not like some hypothetical down the road, maybe if we actually live up to what we say we're going to do. I'm doing it. I just did it. I mean, this is what I'm saying, just making it clear, bro. Who we really are as In the Image Clothing Company. And so that's a big point, and those collars, man. I just keep looking at this collar as it's sitting here, Slip leads are such a big thing. So cool, so helpful, beneficial. You just don't have that play. But that's the thing. In the Image Clothing Company dog products will always be as intentional as we can possibly be. Really. I mean, without holding us to a higher standard on what we can reach with any product we ever put out. We're only making products and selling products in this world of abundance and having our company being a minimal company anyway, right? The reason we have products is to make the things that we all need. We all need clothing. We wear it every day. I mean, maybe some people don't wear clothing every day, but we wear clothing all the time that we wear clothing. Dogs, we have products for them. And I mean, just about nobody has a dog without having some way of restraining it. Even if you have a farm dog, you've got agriculture, you've got, like a herding dog or something. And, maybe it's very, very, very rarely on like a leash or a lead of some kind like that with a collar or a harness. There's still probably some time you take your dog to town, and it's, on a leash or something. Even the most well-behaved dogs, if they're going to just about in every instance ever, just stand right next to you in a heel position, sit right next to you. Your dog's just so well-behaved and trained. That's great. But there's still times when it's a legal thing. I've seen it personally, at least here where I live in the United States of America, the state of Utah, where we live up, right? We live up Utah, as in the Image Clothing Company. There's places where it says it's the law. Dogs must be on leash, right? All dogs must be on leash. Leash is required. No free roaming dogs here, things like this for certain locations of certain people's properties or certain governmental properties or whatever. Do you see what I mean? There's certain times you have to have a leash and a collar or harness or just a lead of some kind, even if it's just a rope. Okay, so collars. That's a big one. It's just hard to keep a collar centered. That's such a big point of a slip lead too. It's hard to keep a collar centered when part of it just has a leash connecting to it. It just weighs more there than it does around the rest of the entire collar. That part's just going to fall down with gravity. And if it's on one side, it'll fall down on that side. Otherwise, it'll just fall down on the other side with gravity. And so your dog maybe is just, I'm in this for life. And then I scream about it. Oh my gosh. I mean, so much of what dogs deal with is gravity, just like us human beings. And so much of the information we give is just how to have your dog deal with gravity when we place something onto it, just like us human beings. Anything that clothes the human being or the dogs or any animals in life or even the earth, God clothes the fields with grass. That's what it says in the Sermon on the Mount, right? If God clothes the fields with grass, then won't he clothe you? I don't know exactly how it's worded, but basically, God knows everything, and he puts intentionality to clothe the ground with grass. And so he'll give us what we need if we can live on daily bread, meaning just the amount of bread that we need each day, if you will, right? Like the bread that rained from heaven for the Israelites. In the Holy Bible, right, in the Old Testament. It is what it is. Daily Bread is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. That's a lot of what I mean, being so minimal and only having what we need and only needing what we have, because God always will give us what we need. And sometimes we think we need more than we do, and we just don't. I'm not trying to speak for anybody, and I know that some situations can be hard and some situations can be very tight, like money-wise or resource-wise, and I know that people have different lives and to live on entirely different parts of the earth than I do, and different time periods, different situations, different understandings of life, and different capability levels. And I'm preaching, bro. This is the gospel of Jesus Christ. This is in the Image Clothing Company podcast, after all. Okay, this fourth of us here. This is episode 193, and I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. But these are the ways we approach doing things with dogs. Okay. And these are the reasons we're a clothing company. Okay. Just to be clear. And it's stuff like this. I think that's part of why I'm saying it, is I have this collar here. And I'm like, I'd love it to be pink because my dogs will be female. And I love pink for the female dogs. And this collar's blue. But I have this collar. And that's the thing, is it's that humbling thing, like, don't try to have anything nicer than you just have if it doesn't need to be nicer than what you just have. The intentionality, the functionality, that's where the focus is. That's what I mean. We're not about fashion under In the Image Clothing Company. We're about function. That's what it means to have do-everything products that can do everything. Sometimes you get things that are so fashionable, and that's what it is, but that's different than functional. Sometimes these fashionable things don't even allow us to do things in life. They're a hindrance more than they could ever even be called beneficial, Even this, I have this leash here. I just found it on the ground one day, and I wouldn't even need a different leash than this. I could use this and just put it in a slip knot in a way that it would be a slip lead. Well, truly, I'll just do it right here. This, just like this, boom, done, slip lead. There you go, on the neck of the dog, that quick, restrained, okay? I would never need another leash besides this one, not really. And that's what I mean when it comes to doing things with dogs. It's not just like, let's make a bunch of cool new products so that we can just have a bunch of new stuff. Let's be very intentional, very intentional, very, very, very intentional. Let's use our garbage to house our garbage, right? To really just condense, compact, concise, consolidate, confounding. We're really compounding, actually, what we've done in the past. And that's what we're doing here, it's building blocks, it's stepping stones. Like I said, if you build it, they will come. We're just building, 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 building. Everything we do is just a little brick in the building, either metaphorically or physically, sure, one day, right, of our actual physical building. But in the building of In The Image Clothing Company, we're just laying bricks, if you will, stacking bricks, building this bigger and bigger and bigger for the sake of the impact, for the sake of the truth of what we discuss here, not for us, but the things that are apart from us that apply to all of us. This is why we do things with dogs. This is why we're a clothing company. This is why I'm running this thing, because my heart's in it. And boy, do I love the poodles. Purebred standard poodles. I haven't been around that many purebred standard poodles at all. I see these mixed poodles over at the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter, but that's the thing you notice is you don't see many purebred dogs in shelters. It rarely happens, in comparison at least. I mean, rarely happens. But if you think that that's some kind of bold claim, at least in comparison to the mixed dogs you see, you see just about no. I mean, very, very close to next to no purebred dogs end up in shelters. It's not a prestige. It's health reasons. Behavioral reasons, temperament reasons, things to expect that you just can't otherwise expect with mixed breeds. You got to mix of two different things. You can't expect one thing when another thing's now been introduced, you know? That's just what it is, bro. I'm not being prestigious with things that I say. No, I mean, sometimes maybe, sure, but that's just, you know, if and when. Yeah, what I mean is I'm not trying to claim that I could never be prestigious about something. I'm prideful. All right? So prideful and prestige are synonyms in many ways. Sure. Call me whatever you call me. Call me crazy, please, because we do some crazy things. And I do crazy things with nylon strings. My name is Evan Strong, right? Little Red the guitar, he's a guitar that what he is a Johnson JG 610R, 3/4 size. Okay, smaller size, so that we're not reaching so outside of our own body's center of gravity. I want to check that out. Literal, it's real, it's truth. It applies to everyone, even if you don't care to care. But this guitar comes with steel strings, but I like nylon strings, and it's not only a preference of mine, but it's for the health of the body. The fingers flow smoother and easier if there's not excessively stiff steel strings. And nylon is unnatural, I get it, but this is the whole thing about times and places. There's reasons for things. It's about the intentionality behind it. And that's a good thing to just show that I'm not perfect at only having 100% natural materials, and I could never claim to be. I'd just be lying if I tried to claim that I was just perfect at, well, anything, okay? So that's good. It's good when stuff like that comes up from me specifically, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. I say the goal is natural, and then I'm wearing blended material clothing at times, and I'm using nylon strings, which is just an unnatural material. And I've purchased certain things like this harness and this collar for probably Nita. I mean, she'll probably, as long as I still have these things when I get her, she'll probably use them for at least a time, you know, until we have actually, you know, In The Image Clothing Company dog products available, you know, that we'll be using personally as In The Image Clothing Company's team, you know. But this is synthetic. I mean, this is just fake material here. I just bought it used at a thrift store. But that's the point, is I bought it used at a thrift store. See what I mean? And this leash I found on the ground outside. It had just been sitting there in the dirt for a while. This collar I got at the thrift store as well. It's synthetic material. All three of these things I'm mentioning here, the collar, leash, and harness are. But that's what I'm saying is it's about the intentionality. It's not about trying to be perfect, because we can't. We wouldn't need a perfect God to rely on if we were perfect human beings, or if we even had the opportunity to become perfect human beings in this life. Then we could just become perfect human beings. Sure, I'll do it, you know, if we could. We would just do it. We can't. That's why we need God. That's why we need to rely on God. Oh, shoot. It's crazy. It's just so real. It's just so real, bro. It's just the truth of all things. That's what I mean. It's Jesus Christ. He is all that exists. I mean, well, because God created the devil. And so even the bad things are still God. Is that weird to say? That's the truth, though, okay? Because there's opposition. One thing wouldn't exist without the other. So if you don't have a bad thing, you can't even have a good thing. You can't have the best experiences in your life if you're not comparing them to some of the worst experiences in your life. It would just be, well, it wouldn't exist. Yeah, there wouldn't be one without the other. That's the point. There's no opinion to be able to do all you can to see the opposition in all things. You'll feel better. It's no, nothing would exist if there wasn't something opposing it, because things would have to have the option to not exist to be able to exist. There's opposition there at baseline. Oh my gosh, am I upset? That's crazy. I don't think I've ever said it quite that baseline. There has to be the opportunity for things to not exist for anything to exist. So we can't just say things are what they are. Well, that implies that they could possibly not be what they are. That's opposition right there. Anyway, in the gospel of Jesus Christ, we talk about there being opposition in all things, right? That's the point. Okay, the Book of Mormon. What is it? Well, if there was an opposition and people saying it was something terrible, then there couldn't be the beauty of what it truly is on the other end. It's the truth of all things, bro. It's take all your opinions and flush them down the... Well, don't flush them down the toilet, because you'd be polluting the environment with your opinions. Oh my gosh. Am I just so mean? I think I'm just so mean at times. That's mean. I mean, that's a mean thing to say, but it's not a bad thing to say. It's the truth. Again, the truth can be very harsh. That's mean. Yeah, that was entirely just a mean... I mean, I was mocking people, but I was. I owned up to it. What else do you want me to do? Condemn me for what I have said. I've said it. I can't take it back. I can apologize, but there's no need to apologize. Sometimes you just, it's almost the right thing to do to be mean. Yee, is that an opinion? Not really. And no. God can say some mean things. God, says some very, very mean things to the religious leaders at the time when he was here on the earth in the flesh, Jesus Christ, right? Oh, like blatantly mean things. But this is our perfect God. That's what I'm saying. There's truth to everything, or nothing exists. And sometimes, we just take the truth to be harsh. As it says, the evil take the truth to be harsh. We're sinful by nature as human beings. Just mean we're all evil. You make one mistake, and that's a sin. And now you're evil if you're not perfect, right? And we all make mistakes, always. You can try to not, own up to it, but you've done it. You did it. I know you did it. And I did it. Anything under the gift of video is documented. The good and the bad. There you go. Condemn me for it. No, I'm the one that filmed it. Sup, y'all? It is what it is, kids. And what it is truly, I do run a clothing company. And I do things with dogs through it. It'll just be great. That's really the point of well, that's like the main way we can see how we do things with dogs is, like I said, imagine I had a service dog that was always with me through everything I did in my life. There you go. I'm doing things with dogs, doing things with a dog specifically, as if I had one service dog. That's what I'm saying, is that the dogs are a part of all that we do on all four sides of In The Image Clothing Company. I've said it, I've made it clear, I'm just making it clearer here with deeper context, deeper documentations at a later date than the other ones. When things have happened between then and now, I've got a deeper understanding now on the things that I'm discussing than I did any previous time that I discussed them, that I've learned anything between then and now about. Wow. Did I mention that I've been given the gift of being able to speak extremely well? And I just say it to bring light to the fact that God gives us gifts. I couldn't take credit for this, as if like, I couldn't take credit for anything. That's why I address what I'm able to do, because I'm shocked by it. It's God working through us in times like this, quote, as a vessel, unquote. That's a episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Yeah, we get used as a vessel by God, so So there you go. Anyway, let's I don't know. I don't need to wrap it up if I don't need to wrap it up. That's what I mean. I don't need to get out of here before I need to. This is an eternal video. This is something I can always reference people back to. Like I said, someone asked me, "What do you do?" Well, I run a clothing company and do things with dogs. That's an episode of the podcast of 1/4 of the company that I run in the Image Clothing Company podcast. You know, and we do a lot actually. But for you to really know, it's great that we document things under the gift of video. And so it's great to not cut myself off in times that I don't need to cut the video before I need to, because that's one of the things that I do is make these videos. It's so cool, man. It's ridiculous. I might play a little bit more guitar. I think I will. It's just I don't even know what to play anymore. I've said this before, you know,